God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's get started here. We have Mr. Beamer first. Oh, we are.
He is not here.
We are. He's not here. Okay. Just to let you know, we are recording the session this evening. All right. All right. So Mr. Beamer's not here.
Well, we're going to do the minutes first.
Oh.
Minutes first, sir.
Oh, minutes first. Okay.
You're forgiven this time.
All right. Somebody might make a motion for 2/6 and 2/12.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for February 6th and February 12th, 2013.
A second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was easy. All right, then. We have what, Mr.
Bertelli.
Bertelli.
Well,
Bertelli,
it's
not saying that.
Bertelli?
Bertelli, yes, B-R-I, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Tubby's Nightclub.
Yes, correct.
Okay. You're on.
Oh, am I on?
You're on.
Well, I'd just like to say I'm glad to see that you do a Pledge of Allegiance. That's very nice. I appreciate that as a veteran. But the reason I'm here is I received a letter. I'm only an owner for 6 months at Tubby's, okay?
Okay.
And I was a little confused. I received a letter stating that we needed to have an external, not septic system, a grease trap, because we're a restaurant. And that the previous owner didn't serve food, so that's why they were exempt from having that. And all they had was a grease trap under the sink, which
Right.
is what I inherited, okay? My menu, okay, is just a bar menu, okay? It's actually pretty much the same menu that the previous owner had. The previous owner did serve food. I have their menu right here, okay? But most of the food that we sell is done in fryers, okay, or it's done in a grill. Like I say, it's not a restaurant. We don't even serve on plates. We serve on plastic trays with wax paper, which if there was any grease that would happen to be left, which we don't, we drain before we put it in here, this wax paper gets thrown in the garbage. We also have an external oil catch on the outside of the building where we put all our oil, which is recycled through Valley Recycling. So we don't put virtually any grease into the grease trap, okay? And I don't understand why, I would need to put an external grease trap when we don't really put hardly any grease at all that goes through that grease trap through the sink. My wife and I have owned a restaurant in New York, so we're not new to the business, so we know, how to run the business and what we can put down the sink, what we can't put down the sink.
How about when you wash your fryer parts, your baskets to your fryer, your dump bin, things like that?
They don't get washed, they get brushed.
You don't wash them?
No, we brush them. Or the health code calls for brushing.
Anybody else?
Let's see the menu.
Sure. You can actually see both menus. This is mine. We enhance they have burger. We have like 5 different burgers, but they're burgers, and this was the Rock Cap menu.
So you do them in the fryers. Did you say microwave?
We have a microwave, yes.
Mr. Field Representative, have we had any issues in our wet well in that area in our previous times?
No, I can't. You got there's 4 apartments there that also go into that wet well. If there's any grease in there, it's really hard to say where it's coming from.
I understand, correct. But
but what grease is in there is very minimal. There's not a whole bunch.
Nothing out of the ordinary?
No.
And the grease trap that we do have, I also look at and I usually do the maintenance on the grease trap. Every 2 weeks it's completely emptied and cleaned out, wiped out, and all of the stuff is discarded, not run down the drain when we clean it up.
That all goes into that external catch that we have outside.
Do you guys keep a documented record of such?
Yes, sir.
Handy in case our field
Sam,
representatives.
Max, fact, you were there, 2 days ago?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, whenever it was, yeah.
Okay, I think what's happening is, with the concern is, we did have a issue with, we have other entities in the township that we have, and I don't wanna tramp on Elmer, but, we've have larger grease traps in, and this is kind of was a new addition when they renovated it, added on, and it wasn't originally set up for, from what I understand, anything other than a nightclub, am I correct? When they came in here originally, and then this kind of grew a little more, and this seems to be the extent of what we have.
Is there a fruit prep area?
Food prep, yes, in the kitchen,
Do you have the 3 sink prep?
yes. Mhm.
And where's that hooked into? Is that hooked
Into
into
the grease trap, that's what's hooked into the grease trap.
And that flows into this external grease? You said back.
No, the external grease is where we dump out grease from the fryers or from the grill. You know, you have the catch bins there, and then we take that and we dump that into the grease bin. So I said there's virtually no grease that goes with the grease trap at all.
And I personally have worked in numerous bars and restaurants around the area, and some of them don't even have the size grease trap that we already have under the sink. I mean, I think it's sufficient for the food that we're making.
And one thing
If
that.
you look at the grease trap there.
Yeah,
I go.
that's what I was gonna say. That is the same size grease trap that they have down at the dugout. It's also the same size grease trap that's in the, Subway. Of course, the Subway's just open, you know. Yes,
Was that the same
it's
thing?
25 gallon, I think.
Is that the same thing as was up at the diner then too? The upper end?
Yes, that's no longer in service?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Anybody
think
else
it
have
was
any
brought
comments?
up last month that it was called to somebody's attention that they were selling meals. And that's
why he
what,
went-
and that's what
Oh, that's
triggered
what-
your
okay,
discussion.
all right, okay.
That's
Right.
what triggered.
No,
it.
Sam's been there before that.
That's what
Oh.
triggered it.
Oh, okay. All right, well, you've made your case, and we'll take it under, we'll review it and talk to Sam about it.
Okay.
We'll-
I mean, we try to do the right thing.
Okay.
Matter of fact, as you mentioned,
All
Sam,
right.
like there were illegal signs on that building. Those 2 big signs you had on the side of the building, those were illegal signs. That was not approved by the township. We took them down.
Okay.
The sign that was up on the roof, that when you ride into the township, into this borough, you see a sign on top of an air conditioner. I mean, we took that down. I mean, we're putting up professional, we've got the approval for the township.
All right, okay.
We're putting up a professional sign, we run many benefits. We're trying to be part of the community. So
Okay.
we would appreciate your consideration.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Our biggest concern is, and we'll see it right away because we have limited input to that wet well. So if there is any malfunctioning and stuff, with the variations, you would probably be the first point of concern that we would address. So we've always kind of kept a good idea in that. How often do we get that cleaned, Sammy?
What's that? Well, once a year.
Once a year. So we have that evaluation once a year when we clean it up. So at that time, if there's any issues, that would be another time. So it's not like we don't monitor it. Like Elmer said there, we'll be making a discussion here and stuff.
Okay. And then I guess we'll be notified.
You'll
be
You'll be
notified.
notified.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you for
Okay,
coming in.
thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chisholm.
Okay. Some of the members are aware that Phelps Reynolds has expressed an interest in possibly being involved in the new water system. Just some preliminary numbers. The purpose of my discussion is to see whether the authority would be willing to have their engineer look at what it would cost to increase what we're planning to accommodate Phelps's. They would need approximately 23,000 gallons a day. Figure that on slightly on the higher side. They have 174 connections. That's 174 times 350 a day. These numbers were the 350 or 130. I'm sorry, gallons a day were derived from both our flow meter at Ann Street for the Creek Road apartments and their own water meter readings for both sides. Butcher Shop Road, which is Fouts Apartments, Creek Road, which is Fouts Heights. The total of the apartments units in both of those is 174. Preliminary discussions with Fouts Rental are very preliminary to start finding out who all's interested in what. And to give you an idea that if you'd multiply, multiply the number of gallons times the money, you're looking at about between $57,000 and $60,000 a year water revenues if we were to go straight forward. It could be much less than that, could be a good bit more than that, depending on the route you decide to take. To let you know, each apartment cannot be metered.
Individually.
They can't be metered. The plumbing goes into the firewall between the buildings and then split out to each apartment. The very best you could do is meter a building. Serves no purpose. Whether Fouts Reynolds is interested in a bulk water rate, a regular water rate, and being out of the water business altogether, first of all, we got to find out whether the authority is interested in pursuing this. And so I think your next step would be to have your engineer give you an estimate of what it would cost to expand your project to include this.
We already have him working on the upgrade for the water system in Sunshine Hill. I don't think it'd be that much more to ask him to, he had a little rider or whatever you want on that, to what it would take to get water over there to him. That's only my opinion on it. I'm looking at 174 connections over there. That's already an established income. It's not like a pie in the sky like the stone mill, where you have to wait 10 years for it to build out. So it's my opinion that we should, that I would think that we should be asking our engineer to at least look into it, give us a recommendation whether it can be done, or what it would take for us to get water over it. So.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity.
Are we gonna inherit the infrastructure on that?
Well, we don't know yet. We haven't.
That's part
of this. That's part of the study. And further, we met Sam.
There would be no infrastructure. It all has to be new.
Well, we don't
No,
know.
it wouldn't.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Because each side has its own well, so you gotta run a line from clean over to Creek Road.
Yeah. But
That's what
that would be the extent of the line.
Yeah, right, that's what
From
the
Butcher
engineering's
Shop-
gonna be doing.
From
looking
Butcher
at that.
Shop where Sunshine Hill comes down.
We were down with DEP yesterday regarding
Right.
the Sunshine Hill water system. And Elmer asked the gentleman, Tom Scholl, whether if we did this, if we went into this and sold her bulk water, would she have to do the testing and stuff? And he said no, that she would be out of the bulk water system, or out of the water system. We would have one additional customer. And that's what he said, all right? So if she wants to get out of the water system, that would be, whether we have the infrastructure or whether she has the infrastructure. She's totally out of it. She doesn't have to worry about any of the compliance testing at all.
Well, that may well be, but take that up for Petersburg Commons. I explained to you already what we do at Petersburg Commons.
I understand, but I just told you what he told us yesterday.
I wouldn't count on it.
Well,
Do you
just to
think
let,
she would still have to do,
I'm not here to argue that point.
no, but
I'm
I mean,
here to
is-
give a preliminary thing. What I'm telling you now is Sam said, the guy said no testing. I'm telling you at Petersburg Commons, we buy bulk water from Duncannon.
well, there'll be a minimal testing. He said there'll be some testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be some.
We must do lead and copper. We must do a monthly bacteria test. and we have to do an Act 110 withdrawal report, and we have to do a consumer confidence report. And that has a separate water number, separate water supply number. Piers Park Commons does.
And just so I understand this, right, and Duncannon does the same for that, even though they sell us that water, basically.
Basically.
Don't forget Duncannon is PUC regulated, so we won't,
Yeah.
we won't be.
And we wouldn't be. So
But
that
I
maybe
would-
is the difference.
to-
But that's a,
Yeah.
that's a small time. I had a question on this. The amount of fire reserve that's in the tower that you're proposing, can that be used to supply the daily needs to Fouts also? Or the daily needs must be always a number?
No, there'd be the daily need, and then there'd be on top of that would be the, just to let the rest of you know, Sam and I have met with Ed at least twice about these issues. We went over yesterday to meet with DEP, Bill Hill engineers were there, he had a couple of his engineers there, and DEP had a couple of their engineers there, and Sam and I. So we had a pretty good discussion about the possibilities. You know, we were there to talk about our existing project and about the water line replacement, the money that we're going to get from the county and the whole schmear. But when we talked about the possibility of serving Faust Apartments and so forth, we got into this whole issue of the size of the tank, how it could be done, and that's really where we need the engineering help. Because you could do it a couple ways. You could serve everything from Sunshine Hills, put in your storage tank, your treatment and everything, and go both, you know, over to Warden's or to Faust's, or you could develop a system over at Faust Apartments, you know, their wells and systems and so on and so forth. So it's important to, you know, flush all this out and see which is best. I frankly can't see putting 2 different treatment buildings up and 2 different storage tanks up. But, and the other thing we did find out, which is important, we have a good well over there. The Sunshine Hills well is rated at, what did they say? 70 to 80 gallon a minute, which is, safe yield is around 100 gallon a minute, according to our records. So that's an excellent well. Now, thing is, we only have that well if we would develop our treatment facilities there. But if we would have at least a day or 2 storage, they would allow us to use just that well. With a couple of days, a day or so storage, they would permit that, right?
Even if we took on Faust.
Correct.
Even if we took on Faust.
They need a 2-day reservoir, no matter how
They
you
need
look at it,
at
that's
least
what
a
they
day's
want.
storage, yes.
That's what they want,
That's,
and that's why the
In
fire,
case we have a hiccup with the pump, you know, we got water that's gonna be able to,
we're not saying that that's the way our engineers are gonna say is the best way to go. I said, you know, we got 20 gallon a minute wells over there at Faust's. They got iron and manganese troubles, they've got arsenic troubles. I mean, they got, what, 2 or 3 wells offline because of those problems, right, Sam?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, 2 of them are all on.
So, you know, the way I see it, it might be best if we have our well and maybe we go after a good well over at, well, the well over at Warden property, which is also an 80 gallon a minute well.
I think we ought to have at least one well, the ability to access one of the wells on Faustus too in the future, just for an extra case.
I don't know, but
Reason being is
engineering wise, I don't know. It depends on how we go with it. That's why we need, you know.
The reason I'm saying that is if you need a redundant system to fall back on, you have the ability to put
Well,
a
the
redundant
redundant
system in.
Well, like I said, I think that's another issue.
part of the agreement is if you really wanted to do that, you could probably ask her if she'd turn them all over to us. you know.
Because when you do the piping, you run your piping to it, you put the valve in ahead of time and have it all established, so all you gotta do is hook up at a later date without any tie-ins.
Right.
You know, not to say that you would need to do it, it may never happen, but the idea is to be prepared for it in case we do have a well down issue.
Well, the thing is, if we have treatment, we have treatment for iron, manganese, and arsenic. We have storage at one place. We have adequacy for everybody.
I agree.
We don't have, you know, you put, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the engine. The bottom line is, can we get a motion to have our engineers study this in detail? That's what we're asking.
I'll make a motion that we have Ben put an option on our plan, since he's already working on the Sunshine Hills upgrade, put the option of adding Faust Apartments and Rentals onto that.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Everyone,
Do we have,
you want to have comments? Do we have?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
question, we have 174 units here, am I correct?
That's right.
Okay. They would be paying a tapping fee or a fee to hook into us?
Part of the agreement. We could look at them, we could see, we can waive the
Okay.
tapping fees, depends.
Because what I'm trying to say is, if we go spend money to put in this infrastructure, we are gonna have a cost that is gonna be impacted upon the ratepayers.
Mhm.
Well, it'd be
And
at
we
least,
need to recover some of this to a point
Mhm.
that we can justify it. I understand we're gonna create a constant revenue, I agree with that. But is that revenue in a short time frame manner gonna be satisfactory to cover the bills?
No, no.
And we do have what is our protocol for,
The same thing as we did for Stone Mill, is we told them if they would put it in the ground, we would waive connection fees as our part of a repayment for them to put it in the ground. If we want to use that same logic, you know, we can do the same logic.
such as from our 8-inch fire main down Butcher Shop Road, if they put the infrastructure in, we could
well,
negotiate something.
Henry,
out.
they could run an 8, you know, we'd like to serve, if we go over there, serve them fire protection too.
I understand,
So you
yes.
need an 8-inch line. We could run it, or we could have them run the 8-inch line and hook into their existing infrastructure. Maybe, possibility. But I think they should have, you know, they have treated water just like we have over here, and they should have fire protection.
We should, I
We
agree.
would
The whole
need,
business.
we would also need a meter, if we're gonna sell bulk water over there, we'd need a master meter pit like we have up at Petersburg Commons still. Now, who's gonna put that in? Part of the agreement, I don't know.
Yes, we have to.
But
work it out.
I think,
Huh?
We have to work it out.
Yeah.
but I think the initial thing is we need to get the engineer to tell us what's feasible and what's not. And then once we get what's feasible, then we can go back to Susie and say, or back to Faustus, I'm sorry, and say, hey, this is what
Okay.
we think, you know, and then work something out that's gonna work for both of us.
Okay, the only concern I got is to make sure that we're not gonna turn around and have to increase rates by doing something
Right.
for the benefit of other people.
Right,
And
and-
other than that, I don't have an issue with it.
All right, we have-
Excuse me, and one other thing for point of discussion here. If we have two tanks, a standpipe on our side of the hill and a standpipe on the other side, that doubles our testing for DEP. All right? You only need one, you know, you get one set of tests is all you need if you do it on our side. So, yeah, go ahead, Gordon.
All right, we have a motion, it's been seconded. Do we want to have
All-
vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Cece, who moved and seconded that?
I moved, Sam seconded.
I second.
Okay.
All right, the engineer's not gonna be here, he broke his foot.
Oh,
Yeah, he did. He called me and said he don't make it so. And we have some 94 reports that he's very interested in getting done. And what I'm gonna do, I got them at home he sent them to me, and I'm gonna send them over here to Karen, so she can send the 94 reports out to you folks. And look at them, and if you have any comments or problems or anything, get back to me, because I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'll sign the two and send them back to Ben then. So.
I think we're gonna need a motion tonight
Well, do we need a
to allow
motion?
it. We're gonna, yeah, if you're gonna sign that, you do.
Or wait till Monday.
No, I'm
Yeah, I
not
was
gonna,
gonna
I'm
say,
not gonna
well,
sign it until,
Yeah, we could do that. We
Yeah.
we could look them over and do it up or at that.
JOAC.
yeah, the JOAC man. That was like what I was thinking
Yeah.
about.
All right, she's off tomorrow, so you'll have to do that Friday.
I'll have to do it Friday, all right. Okay, operators report?
I have nothing to add to the DMRs that are already in the file. If there's any questions, of course. Other than that, things are fairly smooth.
Okay. Field representative report?
I have a printed report in the file here. I'm about a third of the way down. You'll see a series of 5 little stars. We built. Lanker Excavating cannibalized a pump, and they made 1 pump out of 4. And we took that down and stuck it in at the tea room. So CC has it down there. It's a nice place for it to be right now. We'll see how it's going to work because it's a duplex. All right, so one and then the other. So we'll see how that's going to hold up, see how it's going to work.
I'm assuming that we're getting to the point with these E1s where he's gonna be purchasing parts and we're gonna be 100% charged for everything real shortly.
He got all of our parts.
He has all our parts.
He has all of our parts, yes.
Okay, but he's still, all he
And that's
does is
gonna-
labor now, but soon he's gonna be labor and material.
That's correct.
Okay, when we get to that point, I think we ought to start monitoring it a little bit to see how much it changes.
Okay.
And I realize he's probably, at the present moment, the only authorized E1 locally here, but, I mean, we want to keep him honest. That's what I'm
I
trying to say.
understand what you're saying.
That's all I'm looking for.
I understand what you're saying. You want a sideline, you can do that.
No, I'm not looking at it that way. Trust me, I'm not looking at it that way. I knew where you were heading with that, and I knew when I opened my mouth I was, but in the same atmosphere,
Yeah.
we generally have how many on stock?
Right now, we have 10 cores, 4 that's unopened, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that'd be 14, and
What do you mean, brand new ones?
yeah,
Yeah, it's still in the box.
still in the box.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no warranty on them, but they're still in the box. And how many's 13?
13 sitting in the field, still in the cage.
12 simplexes and
In the wet wells themselves?
yeah,
Okay.
12 simplex units, wet wells included, and 1 wetlands duplex.
And I'm going to suggest that we do use the ones outside before we buy any more.
Okay, because what I was kind of thinking about here is those wet wells out there, what do we figure are, when do we figure we might have a chance to use them or what? It's going to be another 10 years?
It's going to be a possibility. It's depending on how big, who's building and going where.
Correct.
The lot across from CC's, the gentleman that owns that is in negotiations with another business down there to put another business in there. Would take a duplex. So.
I mean, I was just saying, would it be worthwhile to try to maybe unload some of them? Put the word out if somebody has something?
Yeah, probably would.
You know, I mean.
The only problem I'd say with that is one, there's no warranty with them,
Yeah.
and
That's the
two,
weak part about that, I realize that.
and two, they are the
Old style.
yeah,
Old style, okay.
mhm, yeah, yeah.
Then I'd say we're stuck with it.
for-
Not to be,
that was a
but the new style fits in where the old ones do?
yes,
retro-
yes.
Okay.
The only difference on the new style and the old style that I saw was the configuration of the plug.
But the necks and everything all slide and work
Oh, yeah.
together, okay.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's one of them things, as ours wear out, we can go always update into the new
Right,
styles, keep
right.
going, good, okay, it's
Yeah.
not like
No, it's.
a Myra situation that we're
No,
gonna have issues
no.
with, okay.
No, I think whenever we did this originally, when we bought all those, I thought it was a good idea at the time. Say hindsight's 20/20. I think we get $500,000 worth of pumps that we're,
Understand, I
but
mean,
still.
we're probably one of, whether the rest of the authority realize it or not, we're probably one of the largest systems in the immediate area. I mean, there's a lot of other authorities that are kind of sitting back and watching and listening and seeing what kind of operational errors we have learned, and so far I think.
I see Marysville's got them in down there now.
Yeah, they've got a few, but there's other entities out there that this is gonna become more popular, so everybody's kind of watching us to see what we're, as guinea pigs, to see where we're headed, because
Right.
that's what LB Water told me years ago, we are one of the largest ones in the area, so, okay.
Yep. And I was up at the area of the water leak up at Petersburg. We're gonna need that raked off and seeded. So if you don't have a problem with it, I'll ask the same guy that did the raking and the seeding up at Sunshine Hills for that, after we did the 4 log, if they'd be interested in doing that. You have a problem with that?
Nope.
Okay. All right. And I got a little thing down here for 2013 sewer main flushing. 4,764 feet in the Sunshine Hill area plus 4 wet wells. Can I get bids on that?
Do you need a motion?
No, just give me a consent, tell me to go get them.
You're good.
I mean, we do something every year, it's time for that area.
Okay,
That's just flushing, no video?
no video. We haven't videoed for,
Really no need
Shouldn't be
to.
any problem up there.
no. Yeah. That's all I had.
Did you want to talk about our meeting up, of course, that was the red light, I guess there's really no.
Not really.
Okay.
Who is at 5 Burley Road that just got reconnected and relocated?
That's Campbell.
So what, are we ready for Dennis?
Mhm.
Well, skipped a few things. That's okay.
I have something.
Master meter and.
Oh, the
then
master meter's
TPS.
report.
There's,
okay.
yeah, there's nothing on the master read out of the ordinary on that.
That's what I thought.
But don't let them bully you. You can take
Well, I
advantage
mean,
of
I
them.
thought so too, when I went down through here, I thought, well, he covered that anyway, so,
Before you move on, though, I have a question for Sam.
all right.
I can't write fast enough tonight here. Where do you want to get the bids for flushing?
It'll be from Klein.
No, I mean, what area? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't see it on your report.
4,764 feet on the Sunshine Hill. That would be both sides, Eisenhower Boulevard, Princeton, Jefferson,
That's okay. That's good enough for the minutes.
and Muhlenberg, and
Okay.
4 wet wells.
What you do, Sam, just kind of, just repeat everything that you've already done from previous times?
I have it set up that's I went off of Susan's billing books and everything, a book, whatever. And there's certain areas that we'll do this section, and then we'll do Penn Manor, Pee Wee Lane, Business Campus, a section like that. And usually on I think I'm anywhere from 5 to 7 year cycle that we would have all of our mains flushed. So I think that's where.
So at least once every 10 years, we've been through something, which is a good thing.
Every 5, either every 5 or every 7 years, we've completed the cycle, with the exception of the low pressure lines. All right. I have not done any of the low pressure lines yet at all.
What's your opinion of that?
Don't have one.
Sleep and don't sleep?
Yeah. Mainly, I don't know. I have not had any dealings with it. Everything is pushing. everything's, is flushing out.
That's why I said,
It's
we're
going up.
we're the guinea pigs here. That's,
And
so we're.
I don't know. I don't know whether there's a, I don't know how I even
How'd
do
you
it.
evaluate them?
Well,
Yeah.
you shut down from one to the other and you blow them out.
Or do I go all the way down to,
Where you blow
and where to blow it out to?
Yeah, where you blow it out.
Well, you hook a hose to it and feed it into a honey dipper. You're gonna have to do it that way.
Or do I hook it up down at the bottom end, get a fire truck and put all that kind of pressure on it and push it until I get clear water up in the plant?
Well, how'd you clean the line out? The branch line, it was low.
Jetback.
So you could jet back them if you had to, in between lines, right?
Yeah. And right now, I don't see a problem with it.
And
As long as we're not seeing a lot of pressure build up, pumps going out because of it, I don't.
I mean, the engineers always emphasize
Excuse me.
scrubbing for line size, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And the issue is if we would put a line, if we expanded our line system here, that we would put an oversized line and it would be marginal for cleaning, then we would want to address that one. That's the way I would see it. But I'm kind of with you, Sam. I don't think we need to
You
do
mean like
anything.
that 4-inch line that we were thinking about taking up to Schoolhouse Road?
Yeah, probably be a 3-inch line, but 3-inch line's gonna be as good as a 4-inch line anyhow, if you look at it, because the SDR is as big as what the HDPE 4 inches, so it's.
Yeah, for flushing, there's low pressure lines. I'm sort of, if it ain't broke, then fix it.
I mean, if anybody wants to do some research and listen, I'd be curious, because this is new.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know of anybody else that's got a system like this that we could question or ask either. That's.
Well, I imagine we could question
Rural water?
site-specific,
Oh, you could do that too, yeah.
and wouldn't hurt to ask rural water either.
One other thing on my report, the building at 1325 State Road has been taken down, the ground has been excavated. So, that's been taken care of.
Was that abandoned?
Was it? No, it was ours.
Oh, okay.
We got it through sheriff's sale. We gave it to, we sold it to Penn Township Board of Supervisors for a sum of $1. $1. All right.
Okay. Guys?
Hey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you read that?
I didn't see
Did you read that?
Oh, okay, Penn Township report.
But don't let them
Sorry.
bully you.
Sorry. Ordinarily, I'd have nothing to say, but we do have a question. We got your letter at our meeting last week requesting the no parking signs and other short comments for the area of the water vault.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be more than happy to do that. However, we need to know a distance. Where would you like that no parking area to begin and end?
From the corner to the first light standard. All right?
Gotcha.
I don't know exactly, how far is that? I don't know, about 110 feet or so?
Pretty good hoop. It's almost to the first driveway, right?
Pretty close, pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close. Now, that's also a buildable lot in there, so that we'd have to be flexible enough to know if they decide to put townhouses in there, then we gotta adjust our, to shorten that up so they can get in there and park here.
All right.
Do we need all that space though, Sam?
I need that and then some.
Okay.
But no, if you wanna make it smaller, you make it smaller.
I mean,
We got permission from the homeowners association
cause
to
don't
put
forget,
them in there. They don't want those people parking in there any more than we do.
cause the mailboxes are across the street from in
That's
that
correct.
area, and it might not hurt for them to be able to pull in there, walk across the street.
15-minute parking?
I
don't care.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the only concern I have with it, cause when we were there around that area, that mailbox
Well,
area.
well, not only that now, a police officer goes by there and sees a guy's parked in that no parking,
I
and walked
understand,
across the street. You gotta use a little common sense too. You just don't write them up just for that. So,
Okay, no problem.
I mean,
I know what we
You
went
know
through,
the
though.
problem, you know the problem we
I know
had
what the
whenever we
problem
were up
is,
there.
yeah.
That repair stretched into the second day because we couldn't get to it first.
Yep.
So, and that was your field representative's fault.
Well, it was everybody's fault because it
No.
was clear when nobody thought about
That
it being
was your field representative's
full.
fault. All week long, there was nobody in there, and there was nobody in there for 2 weeks before that. And we set it up, and I figured, okay, we're gonna be good to go, and next thing you know, it was a parking lot, and so we couldn't do what we had to do.
All right, I will convey that back. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
The one issue I wanted to discuss, the used car place, and I can never think, Eagles Nest?
Eagles Nest.
I haven't done anything further on it because it's my understanding it's no longer operating. The automobile business is no longer operating. As I understand it, there's a proposal for another business to operate there. And of course that may change the complexion of this whole thing depending upon what ends up being the use. But right now there's nothing there. When we see more about what's proposed to occur, then we'll go from there. I understand the building is still there, and I'm not sure if that's going to be removed by the prior owner or whether it is sort of just abandoned there, if you will, but it may or may not make any difference. It's really going to depend mostly on what ends up going on. So I didn't want to get a lot of more time in that.
Well, I think CC
because
has information about
really what I was going to be looking into may now and probably now is moot until we get more idea about what to expect.
I understand a use permit and a sign permit was picked up from the township office for another business to go in there. So there will be activity there.
Okay. Well, change of use, of course, is going to change then I think the UCC will end up applicable, and it may take care of itself.
Well, I'm not sure. I think the township issued a permit down there for porta potty, right?
Temporarily. It was
Yeah, but
temporary.
that was
That
probably
was
issued to
with
the
the Eagles Nest.
No.
prior owner.
It's issued to the present owner, Purdy's Fire Company.
Oh,
Yeah, Perfect Star Company owns that.
the permits to Purdy's Fire Company. Well, would there be no point in having a porta potty if there's nothing there?
Well, there's going to be some way there, right?
Well,
Now,
again, I've
Do you
said
know,
this.
is there somebody going to be there, or don't we?
well, from what I understand, the permit was picked up. Now,
The porta potty
What-
permit.
no,
Okay.
the use permit. Now, who exactly is named on that temporary porta potty permit? Because if that was issued for a temporary use for Eagles Nest, that is null and void because they are no longer there.
Well, that's what I would think. I don't think you just get I've been confused about
Well,
this,
you know what?
as you know. A porta potty to me
It's temporary use, yeah.
is not a bathroom, okay? And
Well-
that's what it's been there for years. It has to stop. It's just not proper.
You know what?
Either you have no use that has no water and no sewer and no nothing, that's fine. But you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You either have a water and sewer and a bathroom, or you don't. But the porta potty, I don't understand it. I'll never understand
Well, the
it.
township has evidently taken it out of our hands, so I don't think we should worry about it, you know? As long as there's no water there and
Well,
there's
it's
no toilet there.
inconsistent with the public welfare. It's inconsistent with the progress we try to make in a civilized society with sewer systems.
Well, that's fine, we got
It's
more.
crazy. It's
It's crazy and
nonsensical.
it's stupid, but they've taken, as far as I'm concerned, they've taken it out of
All
our
right.
hands. And I don't even wanna worry about it. The hell with it. We got more important things to do.
All right.
Really, the hell with it. They did it, that's it. That's the way I feel about it. So, I don't see us wasting any more of our time with it. If they want to issue a porta potty permit for the place, and whatever.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Okay.
What was the motion?
Yeah.
You want to make the motion?
No, you made the motion. The motion is, if I understood Elmer correctly, he said that the municipal authority is gonna wash their hands of that porta potty business with that property with regards to Eagles
It's
Nest.
an issue that the supervisors have determined, and I don't think we should have any more,
He says,
waste any more time with it.
And I gotta agree with him. If he says that if the board of supervisors thinks it's okay to have a porta potty down there on that lot, then who are we to argue with the governing body?
It is my understanding, as point of discussion, the supervisors do not feel it is okay to have that. There was no direction from this board previously on the direction for a hookup for that property, for Eagles Nest. Their porta potty permit that they had ran out of time. What do they do with it? Do they renew a porta potty permit? Do they have to connect? They could not get a square answer from anyone, and that's why a temporary permit was issued to them until a decision be made. That's where the supervisors stand with it.
Well, of course, that's now, the situation is different now, so, as soon as we would know what's gonna be the use of the property, I think you could take and.
Well, if somebody
Take a look
moves
at
in there and puts a toilet in, and
Then
then it's
moot.
clear.
Yeah, then
Then we're gonna send them a notice and say,
Well,
you
they
gotta
have
hook up.
they absolutely have to connect, yeah.
All right, let me ask you this. Someone new is going to move in there, obviously, with a permit being picked up, a use permit. Now, if the rules and regs state that if you're 150 feet or a business is 3,000 feet from a line, you must connect, how does that affect all of this?
Well, if you wouldn't have anything to hook up to it, why would you worry about it?
My point
evidently.
again is if I build a house right along the low pressure line and I choose not to build a bathroom in my house, I don't need to connect to your sewer system. So you can
I think your SEO would have something to say about that.
So why wouldn't he have something to say about a structure that's on a property as a business?
Thank you. That's my point.
I think
Your
he does.
SEO has that. That's not here. If he says that they got to put the bathroom in, that's the SEO. That's not this municipal authority.
See, here's the way I understand this, and it is confusing. To me, the whole thing is totally unnecessary, but nonetheless, it's here and it's confusing. The auto dealership was grandfathered and not subject to the UCC because that business was existing when the UCC came into effect. Any change in use triggers the applicability of the UCC, okay, and all of the codes that are adopted as part of the UCC. I believe that's where the solution will lie, that you generally cannot operate any kind of a business without facilities. That's the general rule. But I'm not saying, I don't know what they're going to do, and I can't say unqualifiedly that
And
they would have to have
UCC
facilities.
is implemented
But
by whom?
That's the township code.
Okay.
That's the township.
That's not this authority.
No.
Okay.
No, and you don't have control over the, whatever it is, the holding tank ordinance either.
Right, exactly.
But I think that's where it's going to get solved, that if the UCC is triggered as applicable, which in my opinion it would be, even though I'm not the township solicitor, but I think it's pretty clear a change of use of that property, the UCC is now applicable. That's where we look for guidance on what kind of facilities would have to be provided for that use. It would be a rare use indeed, in my opinion, that would not require facilities. But
at this point in time,
I can't talk about it unqualified.
At this point in time, it's not an issue for this authority. At this point in time, it's not an issue for this authority. Correct?
Well, right now there isn't anything there that you can that can be required to connect to the sewer.
Exactly. So I don't think
I
we
would
waste
say
any more
this
time
though,
on it.
if the porta potty is a temporary permit, How
Which it
long
is.
is it? 3 months or 6 months?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but
Well,
it's
the-
temporary.
Yeah, the township would need to take a look at that. I mean, that's not the solution to disposal of sanitary sewage when public sewer is available. We all know that. I don't know why this thing has gotten off.
I think it's out of
where it
hand
is,
and we
but-
don't, we,
All right.
really, I think there's no sense in us wasting any more time on the thing. Do we need a motion about that or not?
Let's see, did Mr. Beamer not show up?
No.
No.
Okay. So I'm just, on that issue, then I'm doing nothing until
No, I don't.
you guys would
No,
tell me
no,
that you want me to look at
don't waste any
something.
more time on it. It's not our issue.
Karen and I have a whole bunch of liens that I'm preparing now to file, and I have spread out on my desk all this paperwork about the delinquencies, so I'm getting to that and getting ready to move some of those forward. I expect here within the next couple of weeks, there'll be some filings done and some letters going out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on my,
Well, I have something for you.
okay.
On
Oh, I guess the act, or the 537 issue there with the Coven plant, but that is kind of on a waiting pattern at the moment, right? Because we don't know till he comes back
Mr.
in.
Ward hasn't come in. I called him. He said wasn't planning on coming today. He had prior arrangements. I think he's in Florida with his other, what do I want to call them? The other
Partner.
associates.
Co-owners.
His other partners. And he said he had something to be presented to the authority for the night's meeting, and he was going to drop it off in the office. Karen did not say anything about him stopping in to drop it off, so I'm making the assumption that never happened. So,
I guess until somebody is DEP telling us that, well, I guess they're holding out
he still has,
temporarily.
the last information I have from DEP was at that on-site meeting down there. He had until June 1st
All right.
to make up his mind as to, to have a game plan. Either be connected to us by June 1st or have something in writing with a definite connection date by June 1st.
And if that doesn't happen, then I guess we need to, well, then the pressure is going to be back on the authority, I would presume, by DEP, and then we'll need to take a close look at things. But again, I'm not sure there's any point in, my spending a lot of time on it until we see what comes of the discussions with Mr. Ward.
Yeah.
I thought it was his agreement with us at the end of that meeting that we had with him, that special meeting, that he was to have something to us by the 25th of February.
The week of the 25th, yeah.
He was going to try, he was going to meet with his partners and he'd have a decision.
He would have a decision by the 25th of
I think that's what he said, and I
February.
think that's why I put it in the minutes.
Because the problem is with him, without him making any actions, he's gonna come in here at the last minute and then turn around and make us react, and it's not gonna work for him.
No.
And then everybody is gonna have mud in their face, including us, because we're not keeping it.
Well, I'm thinking,
Well, maybe we ought to.
I'm thinking that we ought to be proactive and at least, the very least, run that line up to the manhole, on that Ellenberger right away. I think we need to, at the very least, we should do that.
That should be done after school.
Yeah, and that'll give us, that'll relieve that line going down through there. We have the option then of bringing it there from Wolf's one up, bringing that stuff upstream into the manhole, as well as going from the Coven down.
We can even valve it, that we can valve it either way, if we wanted
Yeah.
to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely up to us, but I think we gotta be proactive and do it.
Well, all he needs is an agreement for DEP too, don't forget. Don't be getting crazy about getting stuff in the ground right away. I don't think that's necessary. I mean, he needs to have an agreement before June 1st. There's still time to have an agreement.
He's
so.
also said that he's cutting EDUs down there to get under a a set number that
For water.
DEP has designated for his water usage. He's not only allowed to serve so many people where he has to be a different type of water.
25 people or more.
The only thing
How
I
many?
will
25.
recommend is if we
15 or more
are definitely
connections or
gonna
25
pursue
people.
this line this summer, we need to emphasize that we do not wanna destroy the farmer's crops without compensation, so we need to address that in the proper
We
manner
need,
also.
that's another reason why I'm saying we need to do it. If we're gonna do it, we need to do it before they plow and plant.
The minutes from February 12th meeting from him state, Mr. Ward informed the authority that his company should have a fairly certain idea of the way they are leaning by February 22nd. The decision will be discussed at the March 6th authority meeting so that it will become part of the public record.
And he says that he reported he would not be here in March.
No,
But he would try to give us information.
Right, so that we would discuss it and it would be part of the meeting. Remember, there was a thing about having a separate meeting. And it was decided if it was discussed here, it would be part of the record, so you wouldn't need a separate meeting.
Okay, so we knew he wasn't gonna be here tonight, but what we were expecting was
Was his
some
information.
information,
Yeah.
all right. Well, at a minimum, to me, I think at a minimum, maybe a letter should go to DEP explaining this, a status report, so to
Right,
speak.
status
so
report would be in.
that they know what's going on.
I don't think we should start putting stuff in the ground, though. I'm opposed to that. That's crazy. I mean, right, not at this point in time. I'm sorry, but that's, why should we do that?
Well, would you be?
He said he might even close the whole place down. Then we want, there's no nothing.
Well, would you put that line in if, would you put that in anyway?
No, there's no, why would you? Why would you? No.
Okay, there's no,
You're gonna have to eventually do it someday.
Well, someday down the road.
There's 3
You're
units.
still gonna have to put
There's
it
3
in
units
to
that can go in
comply
that
with
line
the
at
Act
the present moment
537.
without him included.
I'm not
Right,
worried about
Sam?
Act 530.
Pardon me?
Those guys haven't done their job yet.
What's
Let
that?
them
I
do
said
their
there's
job.
3 more buildings that can be added in there right now at the present moment, which are already
Have you
cleared
read
for
the
that capacity,
537?
am I correct?
Yeah.
There's the lot of barracks,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot there beside Ward's house. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Oh, I
also-
forgot about that one.
Mhm. There's also a lot
One down by
between,
Mormons,
there's, right.
and there's
Borman's
one at Bender's.
And there's one at Bender's.
So there's 4 lots in there that can be added to that.
well, they could be added only if this line is run. Oh, they could be added right now.
I don't know if the capacity's in that line or not for them.
But they're not occupied.
No,
There's no
they can't
buildings.
be.
There's no buildings. There's no nothing.
They're vacant lots at the moment.
Yeah, so you can't do anything, you can't force them to connect.
Yep.
Or even pay a reservation capacity fee. if there's
And the
nothing
school
there.
already hooked an extra one into it.
That's correct.
Dennis is absolutely right. A letter needs to go to DEP, says
Yeah.
Mr. Ward failed to keep
Right.
his
Just
promises,
Cite the information in the
Right.
minutes.
and the
yeah.
authority cannot proceed because we don't know
Exactly. I
whether
agree with
Mr.
that.
Ward is even going to be there
Yes.
to connect.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, that's letter, I think that letter could be prepared here internally unless you need me to do it or want me to do it, I'd be
Yeah,
happy to.
I think you ought to prepare that. I'd like you to prepare that letter. That'd be good.
You think it'd be good to have
I think, don't you think?
input from me to go directly to DEP?
Yeah,
Sean Arbuckle.
All right.
yep.
I will make a consideration for this board to keep in mind that there is limited time frames to do that line replacement within that structure that Mr. Oxy's talking about.
Will you say that again a little
There
louder?
is limited time frames that would be the best time to address that line upgrade up through there. Summertime, such as the school being out, you don't have the traffic on the back road, because it's gonna shut that road down for a substantial amount of time. Agricultural crops being interrupted, do we tell the gentleman not to plant and plan ahead? Do we compensate him for his damages upon his crops by going up through that? So there's other things to be considered that go with that line replacement, just to make a statement of record.
Arball is ARBAUGH.
Okay.
Well, we have a letter going to them. Henry, if you want to make a motion to put the line in, go ahead and make the motion.
I just put it as record of the minutes.
I'm sorry, say
Not
that
a
one more
motion.
time? You just want it in the minutes.
I just made a statement of the minutes, make it noted as such.
All right, whatever. Dennis, there's one thing that came up at our meeting with DEP and Hill Engineering about the line that we're gonna install. Mr. Hill wanted to know whether we could relieve
The water system he's talking about.
relieve the, what do you call it, the prevailing wage in this instance, because this is a replacement. You know, we have that's something we gotta talk about. We have a contract with, commissioners. We're getting how much?
104 or 140, I think 140.
140,000. But
That's in there to be signed.
lines and we gotta get approval to do that too.
That's in there to be signed. We need
Okay.
approval.
We have approval from the board. All right. He was asking whether you can make the argument that prevailing wage did not apply in this instance because it's a replacement. He said we could probably get 25% more line for it.
He
if
said
we-
something about a replacement as opposed to an installation.
Yeah, there is some, there are, I have to take a look at it. It's technical the way it's worded in the legislation. So we obviously need to be careful because we don't want to guess wrong, but I can take a look at that.
Okay.
I'm thinking you gotta be comfortable with it because you're the one that's gonna have to defend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess we need a motion to sign that contract, right? We have a contract pending with the commissioners,
Let me
is
see
that
what's
correct?
down here in new business.
Is that in new business?
We should, that should be in here somewhere. Probably not.
Well, I know she put it in there because she called the lady to,
I'd like to put a motion on the table that we sign the CDBG contract with the county commissioners.
Does Dennis have to,
For the replacement of the upgrade of the water line in Sunshine Hills.
should Dennis see that before we do that?
Standard contract.
I'm assuming we're gonna shoot for spending that money next year,
18 months
You
to
got
do
18
it.
months to spend it.
which,
from the date you sign it. Or approve it.
143.
143,000.
so by that time, we should have a water system in.
Is that it right there?
Yeah, I'll take a quick look.
Oh,
We
good.
should, for that time, we should be spending that money. The only monies that we spend with ours is what we so choose to spend with it and the engineering fees. We have stated that we would pay for the engineering fees in our application.
Mhm.
All right?
And what we designated in that first leg, Sam, when we did it was, what, coming down and going down towards, is that right?
Phase one would have been Roy Shadow's side of Eisenhower Boulevard down to the butcher shop leg, replacement of that butcher shop leg, and then going down to Princeton. And that would be the first phase that we would do.
And we go further.
And installation of the storage facility. No,
Did we include the storage facility in that?
no, but if you're gonna put fire hydrants up there, you better put storage facility.
Well, I know but that's not.
And that's all part, I mean, you're gonna have to do it anyway, so.
No, that wasn't in, the storage wasn't in the,
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
It was in the CDBG application.
What?
are you looking to, but you want to approve this?
Well,
I already put a motion on the table,
Yeah.
Dennis, to sign it.
I think it's fine. It appears to me to be a standard contract. The things that are required by the authority would all be things we would expect the board to do. Make sure you're complying with
See
the
who
law.
the new
publicly
secretary
vetted.
is.
I don't see any problem with it. It does say you'd have to be prepared to pay if the project cost exceeds the amount of funds that they're providing.
all right.
Okay, and I think you have
We've
funds.
already decided to do that.
Funds available.
It's already gonna exceed it.
Yeah, but you've got the money to do that, you've got reserves, so I don't see any problem.
There's 230,000 set aside right now, specifically for the water upgrade, plus there's another 270 or something like that. I'd have to look at the
So what'd you
financial
say,
report.
200 and what?
Let me get to the financial report.
Plus 143?
You have 230 set aside for the water system upgrade, but there's another 273 also available, and you've got 510,000 sitting in
Plus
capital
100,
reserve.
plus 143. We gotta be able to do something with $600,000.
Yeah, you gotta.
Can you do it in 180 days?
Their $143 gotta be spent.
That's just 143 that has to be spent.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I think we can bank some of that, though, can't we?
Well, I'd have to look.
I mean, the county would bank it for us. Well, I mean, we couldn't get any interest or anything off of it because
I think when Karen talked to her, she said 180 days.
Well, I'm just thinking for.
When did we sign them?
The date you sign it.
180 days or 18 months?
it's 18 months.
180
18
days
months.
would be 6 months.
Yeah,
Is it-
it's 18 months. It's a year and a half. I think, pretty sure.
Okay. Well, that would make more sense.
Yeah, 6 months, I was gonna say, is pretty tight for.
Okay.
I mean,
You
I
get
don't know
your
what
bid and you gotta
engineering
get
you'd
it,
have
yeah,
to do, but
yeah.
design, then bidding and construction.
Yeah.
18 months.
That's a big clarification right there. I would be more concerned about that clarification there before we sign it.
Let me see if
But
it
upon
tells
that,
us.
I don't have a problem seconding that as long as it's 18 months.
Let's see if I can find that.
Because till you get plans and drawings up, that's 2-3 months.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not a complicated line. It's basically a line replacement like we're doing with the sewer system, but still,
Yeah, any
it's,
project, you're right.
till you're drawing
you're
things
gonna
up,
be-
I know how projects go, you
You're gonna
know?
be up against,
And next year at this time is when we should be rewarding bids and should be tearing it up for springtime work. It's gonna be dry up there, you're not gonna, I mean, short of fitting a spring or two in a spring up in there, you ain't gonna find.
I don't know. Better hope we hit a big well up there.
Yeah, well, if we do, we'll drain the other one. That's what we don't wanna do.
well, I don't know why, but I'm not seeing. Do you wanna just table this for a few minutes, let me look?
We can
at
table it till
Well-
next week.
We can do it, we can check it out and we can table it until the JOAC meeting.
All right.
Susan's not gonna be here, so who's the secretary?
I'll be here.
All right.
So we're gonna be down again.
Mhm.
Hey,
We're gonna have to
here,
vote on
I'm
that.
sorry. 18 months.
I can play secretary, Susan.
Driving performance to complete the activity up to
Yeah.
18 months
Okay.
after
If you got
notification
something
of
planned,
grant
I'll do
approval.
it.
I was going to take my mother home.
Good.
And it can be
After her
extended
husband.
with written approval.
Oh, it can?
Right.
Yeah, so,
Okay, all right.
I'm
I
okay
knew you
with
were going
it.
horse too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm fine.
You're fine.
I
with
can
it?
run the recorder and do a rough
All right, I'm
sketch you did.
All right.
I'll
It's
put
not
my
like
All you
motion on
need
the
is-
table that we,
Motions.
that
Who made the
we
motions
sign-
and what?
Sign the contract with Perry County Commissioners regarding the CDGB loan or grant for the replacement of the water system of Sunshine Hills.
Do we have a second?
No, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Go get us the money.
Okay, just get the money.
Show me the money, show me the money.
Okay, the one that signs it would be Stan. He's the
It says
secretary.
chairman. I am not the chairman.
No, I know, okay,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I know that, but I thought,
That
okay.
contract says
you
chairman. It
Okay,
says- Has my name on it with a chairman.
okay. Because it,
Well, you were chairman when it was.
Yeah, but you're not the chairman, you can just sign it and cross that out and just print your name on
All right.
it, that's fine. Well, actually, that should say authority too, shouldn't it? Is it township or is it the authority? It's,
Who gets the money, the township or the authority? That could be
well, it says
interesting.
Penn Township here.
Hmm.
Does anybody remember how that was supposed to
It was
work?
sent in Penn Township Municipal Authority.
Huh?
It was sent in Penn Township Municipal Authority.
See, they use a form agreement, like borough/municipal authority, so it's a generic agreement that they use for whoever the municipal entity is. But the place that worries me is here, when it's a contract between the county and Penn Township, Perry County, referred to as township.
in the past, didn't we have to turn it over to the supervisors for signature?
I can't.
And they were the ones that actually sent them in. It was only in the past few years that we started signing them on our own.
CB,
Yeah.
this kind of thing, I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Because they get sent to the township, and then Helen would pass them along to us, but I think Chairman Holman used to sign them. But
Well,
now,
how
in the
do
past
funds
couple
flow then?
years,
Do the funds flow to the township and then from the.
we never got a grant before.
Oh.
In the past few years, when we did apply, though, we were applying in our name and we were signing them, and they've got Sam's name down, and they're in contact with Karen all the time.
I mean, we can just put municipal authority there, I can just print it in and sign it on behalf of the authority and see what happens.
Do the supervisors care? Would they care?
I wouldn't make a decision for the three of us.
I mean, it would seem to me
No way.
it would be cumbersome.
Not gonna get me in that trap.
It would be if it's the authorities, I mean, if the funds are coming to the authority for the project, it would seem like that's an unnecessary level of complication.
Well, I agree with you, just write Penn and initial it.
I mean,
They have an issue, they can reprint that page and we'll
I
sign
mean,
it again.
It's addressed to Sam as chairman of the authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do that. If they don't like it, they'll tell us.
All right.
it says Chairman of Municipal Authority in the front, right?
Yeah, yes, it does.
I mean, the cover page issues it, and it's the directive that they've sent with it, so, I mean, it's like you said, it's in generic form.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. I'll just print it.
All right.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that if we did it the other way, we'd make all the auditors go crazy. Hmm. Let's take one printer.
Just print it.
Yeah.
Just sign.
Yep.
Night.
See,
Night.
Night, Ellen.
I'll give you a call then,
Okey-doke.
from Mother's.
Hey, Ed.
Hopefully this is gonna be fun.
There's no special meeting.
It's a little sloppy,
I gotta go to water.
We have
Sorry.
here, like here, making appearance. Okay, so, But there's nothing like that here. So should that be turned on?
Got last month's.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yep. 804.70.
Yeah, I need
So
this,
it just
sign
went
this
up.
copy if you would.
Okay, so it was a new lien.
Mm-hmm.
They just placed a new one, so it
Who's
just went up.
secretary now?
Yeah, and,
Stan,
yeah, because here it's under 150. It's
Okay,
not-
all right, Stan's turn.
He's gonna be big on politics, not paper.
Okay.
Good tonight. Yeah, it should be right across from Elmer's signature.
See where it says to test?
Yeah, right there.
Print your name under it, you don't want to, so what your title is.
Sorry, I guess I should have first.
Hmm?
Wow, your delinquent accounts are actually down?
You don't say that too loud.
It's a good thing.
It's only temporary, Drake.
Is that only one place?
Yes, well, there's two different documents, but just in one place, yeah.
Oh.
Two copies, I
You
should
gotta
say.
sign the other copy too. I think it should be the other.
we had a couple of people who sold properties, and so they paid off their debts.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. And hope that the new buyers pay it.
Okay, I guess you're done. The only thing you're gonna do is, for us, is write that letter to.
Yes,
And work on the things for Karen and the,
yeah. Get the sheriff's sale process going.
Okay, thank you. All right, what do we got next here?
well, Karen's got the
Treasury report.
delinquent, yes, Karen's got the delinquent accounts there.
Who gets it, you?
Yeah, I'm not sure who's gonna. Yeah, they want one of these back. Do you wanna take care of that, Susan?
We'll have Karen take care. She can call them up and ask who gets it, or she may even know.
I guess we have to, get to work on bids and so forth, right? For the,
That's what Ben's gotta do. Ben's gotta put
Ben
the
will
bid
Ben will
packet.
put the package
He's gotta
together
put the
for
bid
us.
packet together, yeah, and get it out. Sooner he gets it out, the better off we're gonna be.
You better talk to them.
As long as we know what we want in advance. So where are we at, treasurer's report?
Treasurer's report.
Susan, you have anything you wanna point out on this?
On the delinquent accounts?
No, treasurer's report.
Well, I thought he was doing delinquent accounts, I'm sorry. That's my fault. The treasurer's report, first thing is delinquent accounts and monthly bills. So if,
Dennis is gonna pursue these delinquent accounts, is that correct?
Yes.
Cause some of this stuff is really,
Getting-
really there,
getting
you know?
old.
It's,
above your $850 limit.
oh yeah,
Yes, there's quite a few.
yes, it's.
Wow.
It's one of them things, you're gonna be a busy beaver, and
Then I'll be in here when the time gets close, when all the scrambling starts. You know how it is, we've been down this road before.
There's a lot, there's a lot.
2,000.
till you turn around and get this worked out through, this is,
7,000.
Yeah, that's a trailer.
March, April, May.
It doesn't,
I mean,
2,000, 2,000.
if you don't start now, you ain't never gonna get it done by the end of the year.
No,
You know?
This is what I'm gonna look at. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of them go
Down
up, some
here,
used to
where's
go up
that
and
down?
used to come down, now they're not coming down,
Here,
you know?
Yeah.
They're,
there, he had them together.
and I'm not saying,
Wow.
some of them are probably legit and they got
Wow.
issues, other ones though, I think are probably
Want a trailer for it?
manipulating the system, Dennis,
Huh?
you know what I'm
I think we
saying?
can get it.
know.
I hate to say that, you'd think that
Oh, mercy.
people would operate in a little bit better.
There's some 3,000.
There'll be some activity, and you'll be hearing from some people.
1152 ain't been holding up on their end of the deal, am I
He
correct?
did call, he called back in.
She,
No, he does.
oh, okay.
He takes care of it. But I haven't gotten a payment, so. I know he told Karen that he would be in, but
I mean, that's what I'm saying, it's not going nowhere. I mean,
No.
Is that occupied?
we don't know. It was mentioned last month that they're living there,
We're
but
told no.
I don't know whether they are or not.
I'm
And
sure
I-
they wouldn't want to.
that was never
This
pursued
time
by
of
the
year
authority.
anyway.
I really don't think so, but anyhow,
But they're not, they were
But-
supposed to be paying on the back amount.
Yeah.
And so she sent him a letter as directed by the authority, and he did contact her.
Was there not insurance?
No,
So the chances of somebody rebuilding are, I would think, pretty
Well,
slim.
they were gonna rebuild that. They were working on something, somewhere along the way they had a deal to get a modular, a used modular to put in there. The gentleman that lives next door to him said he's negotiating with them to build a stick house for him. So, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where he's gonna get the money to, to do it. They can't come up with the money here to pay this. How are they gonna get the money to buy a house? You know, I don't know. Just don't know. I'm looking at, well, there's a couple in here that doesn't have all right, 163, he's down there. Up above, he doesn't have a number up there, but look at, you add those two together, it's $10,000.
Well, there is no number because there's all the,
Yeah, because all the other ones are up there. And then he had the 165 on him. That's pretty much one and the same. That's a lot of money.
yep,
Yeah, I have
money
liens-
coming in, but it
we
ain't
have
going back out to the
liens
proper
ready to-
places.
Ready to file, but, that's not necessarily gonna turn into cash.
What about sending them a notice to shut water?
It's easy to shut off now.
I know we have to send them a notice first. Send them the notice saying you got 30 days or we're shutting you down.
Process, but. How many months is that, months is that, just a couple,
for what?
for number,
Well, he's got 20 units up there.
163?
How many units do you have all there? Total 20?
Oh,
what do we
we'll say
count?
this, there's 20. We bill them for 20 sewers. The borough gets
No, we're
3.
talking water up there now.
Well, about the same amount. But they use different amounts, so we'll say that there's 20 trailers.
20 tons.
That's probably that might just be the last quarters. Last quarter billing was 1,700, I think, for them.
Doesn't
For
take long
water.
For it to go up when you're talking.
For
about
water.
20 units, right?
Yeah. They have some fairly strong water users up there.
Okay.
So what's our game plan? What do we want to do?
I wrote down that the solicitor is going to be pursuing all of these.
Well, there's liens going on first on those. They were already sent to me to file.
And then there's letters for sheriff's sale.
You have them done by next month, Dennis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have the processes going.
Okay.
Well, that kinda takes care of the issue at play then, you know what I'm saying?
It won't, nothing will happen for a while after that, as you know, though, from being through these before. The week before the sale date is when all the activity starts.
Well, I got a problem with the possibility of ending up with another dozen houses.
I know.
You know?
I know,
We don't want to end up with any houses.
It's just a tough problem.
Yeah. We do the best we can, that's all we can do. All right, we've got what, the monthly bills?
The LB water repair parts, some of that is covered for the $1,300 and
$30.
yeah, some of that is covered by the escrow for Susquehanna.
Oh.
Some of that was and it's itemized on the bill. Some of it was for the Megaro tap, and a few things were just one of them was another store's connection for a fire hydrant. And the Edwin L. Heim bill, I think you guys have looked at that. That appears to be for some
That's the controllers down at
controller, yeah.
Cove Wastewater Treatment Facility.
Other than that, I don't really see any bills that are out of the ordinary. The Harris bill was budgeted for.
Well, I move we pay the bills.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Same sign. For me to keep my mouth shut, right? It's a force I have it, force I have it. No, I'm sorry.
What do we have, the audit update?
No, the financial report is next.
Oh, financial report.
I'm sitting on the sidelines, I'm sitting.
Under the
It's not good when you do that.
Under the receipts for this month, you see 210/2012 invoices to the capital project. That was Mr. Brogius. Bills for the grinder pump malfunctions. We had sent him letters saying, oh, by the way, you didn't pay the one from 2010. And Mr. Beamer paid a reservation of capacity for the other unit beside the beauty salon. So we've had 2 reservation of capacity fees come in. That one and Mr. Barrick for the one on State Road up near DeCoven. We sent a bill for reservation of capacity to the former Dale Ward property there, the yellow brick house where the swimming pool was. That's an empty lot there. They called and wanted to know what that was about, and it doesn't seem like they're interested in developing that for anything else. They may be keeping that lot for themselves.
And the one that Barry purchased, is that on the upper side of that lot?
Yes.
On the west
Yeah,
side?
it's got a sign on it. I think lots available. He pays that religiously every year. In fact, I think he even has the tap put in. I found records saying that the tap was put in at one time. Other than that, on the back side, you have $231,000 earmarked for your water system upgrade. And if you look over on the left under project reserve, there's $273,000 there. So
Where's the 231,519.84 for what, Sunshine Hills?
yes, you had started out with a certain amount, and I've been subtracting it like from last year and this year. So far this year, if you look on the very bottom,
Yeah.
we spent $2,137.26 on that, and that would be Ben's studies, his engineering studies. Anytime his bill says Sunshine Hill water upgrades, I just charge it to that project.
All right.
Move to accept the financials report subject to audit.
I'll second it.
We have motion and second, and we have, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. What do we got?
2012 audit, okay.
2012 audit update.
The auditors have finished their field work for us,
Oh, okay.
for the financial audit.
All right.
Now it's tax season, so I'm not sure when we're going to hear, but they did ours at the same time they did the townships. It's the same auditing company, and I just wanted to let you know that that's been done. That's completed. As we are going to be getting our standard comments. I am the weak link in the system in that if I'm the only one in the office and somebody comes in and pays me cash, theoretically I can pocket it, adjust their account, nobody's the wiser, and we discuss that every year. And so they probably will put that on there, but they understand that it's a small operation and you can't afford, somebody
So
here.
You're not taking a whole lot of money.
Well, I'm still sitting here, I'm not in Bermuda, so.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's one of the things they will mention. They were very concerned about the delinquencies, and they really looked hard at the delinquencies this year. And that's what triggered the whole thing, and they had to do it. I took accounting courses, so I know it was, for their due diligence. They had to kind of check and see, were there really delinquencies, or is this a good way for somebody to be taking money out? But they checked over those pretty thoroughly.
Maybe they have some ideas on how to
No.
I didn't see you.
Wait, is that, we have to approve that report, is that June 30?
No.
Oh, it isn't, okay.
The DCED part has to be done, and she's going to submit that.
Okay,
There's a
all right.
deadline for DCED.
Okay, all right.
But other than that, the only person that needs it is Penn.
Okay. And then we put some kind of ad, we have to run some
We
sort of
will
ad.
run the ad, but that will be after they've got it, we'll vote on it and approve it. But the first thing is the DCED thing, and they usually just take care of that before we even. See, I just forget what that deadline is. I think the end of March. And by then we should have a draft.
Okay, we have the JOAC meeting on, what is it?
Executive Secretary report.
Oh, Executive Secretary report. All right.
I think she had something in there regarding what she's been working on.
Nothing. You asked her to put
Rate
something
schedule?
in, didn't you?
I think she put the rate schedule in there. She said there was
Oh, I got the rate schedule, yeah.
an upgrade from the rate schedule. I thought she said she would put that in there. She did because she was hoping to get it approved tonight.
She mailed a flyer out to me
She's hoping to get it approved tonight.
for the water.
No.
Well,
No, wait a minute.
Yeah, because the thing is, she changed in there, said that we'd be billing monthly on that, and
She
she
mailed
changed
this
that to
to me.
quarterly.
You didn't guys get one?
That was me.
That was you?
That was me.
Which is the
No,
same
she
thing.
found that, Sam asked her, all right, she found the mistake in our rules and regs. It says that water will be billed monthly instead of quarterly. So Sam told her that she should put that in as part of her report, that she's changing that, but
It's right there.
okay.
I told her that, once she's retyping the whole thing in order to make it easier for pagination. When it was done, when Irene did it, the pages don't, when you add something,
Yep.
things don't change.
Yep.
So by next month you should see that.
Okay, the JOAC meeting is on what?
Monday night.
Monday night, okay. And what were we gonna do at that meeting? I forgot.
No.
Oh, we were gonna do we were gonna sign the,
Chapter 94 report.
Chapter 94 reports, all right. Chapter 94 reports. I'll have to get them out. All right, incoming, outgoing correspondence, periodicals, old business. Sam, want to install a ladder, what's Railroad Street?
All right. The materials to do that lateral, that on the McGarrett property on Railroad Street have been purchased. They are now in the odor control building. So whenever the time comes this spring, fall, or spring or summer, whenever, you
It
know.
would be nice to do that if we have another one coming up. If
I
this
thought we were gonna do it with the concession
We
stand.
did, but that
Oh, that's.
showed up, boom, done.
Okay,
It-
yes.
It rushed through.
But the
so-
thing is, they use their
Yes. Yeah, you're
excavators
right.
to do that, and we couldn't very well do it.
I mean, that railroad thing, is it really, to drop everything and make it happen, Sam, it's not worth it, is it?
I don't think so, no. And,
I mean,
and
it's
the
just
only thing
something to
is, the only thing it's on there for, so we don't lose it. And it's a tickler, knowing that we are still obligated to put that tap in for that man because he paid for it. He paid for it.
We're just trying to finish up a
2000
loose end, it's there, but
Right.
it's not worth,
Right.
we're trying to wait till we get another tap so you do two of them
Right.
at the same time.
It's a vacant lot.
Yeah,
It's a vacant lot, but the man's
Where's it
paying
at?
for the tap, that's all.
On the other side of the river, in behind Sheets, down on the other side
Oh,
of the tracks,
okay,
okay?
all right, down there, okay.
But I agree with you, it's just keep it on the books and we'll just keep, it's a reminder on it,
Yep.
that's really all it is. So if somebody says, oh, well, I need a tap, boom, okay, we'll do both of them at the same time,
Okay.
okay?
All right. We did the CDBG grant, that's done.
How about the 537 plan, Cody? You already talked about that.
537, so, Dennis is gonna write a letter to DEP and tell him
Yeah,
whatever he's gonna tell him.
yeah.
Uh,
Number 4 was Louis Beamer.
That's his Beamer,
Yeah, that's Beamer.
and that's being taken care of, right?
No, he didn't show
No,
up.
he didn't show up.
No, he didn't show up, but he's paying.
He's paying
his
for-
bills?
No, we sent him those invoices for thousands of dollars, and he was going to come and talk about them.
Oh,
but
okay. He is paying his regular bills.
He's paying
but
the
he's not
sewer
paying-
bill, but he did not pay the tap fee for the
All right.
additional apartment,
All right.
or last year's back sewer bill,
Oh,
or
okay.
all the grinder pump damage.
All right.
Which all totals $11,773.35.
Was that all that?
That's the stuff I made the
That's all that
copies.
stuff you laid
Well, I
there. All
understand
right.
why he wants to come and talk to us, but I'm disappointed he ain't here.
This is the second month
How
that he
much was
didn't
that?
show.
11,000
He's soon gonna
something.
get a love letter from Dennis too.
Well, I'm gonna say, if
These
he's
two
not gonna
amounts.
show up, I guess that's what's left but that. Huh?
I'd say wait one more month,
All right.
that's 3 month courtesy,
I'll
and
make
then
it
after
one
that.
more month.
Then put a lien.
Well,
Put a lien.
One more a month. All right. 1623 State
That
Road.
is Cuddly Bear. That's the one that you were talking about having the drywall supposedly in the wet.
Oh, okay.
All right. Now, I got a little note here that I was going to present under new business on this, but with that along the same way. This is the Brochus property. Says, there's now 4 liens, to my knowledge, there's 4 liens against that property. I don't know how much money it is. How long do we have to keep carrying that, and can we take action on that?
Yeah, you mean enforcing the lanes?
Yes.
Yeah, you can enforce a lane, you can schedule a sheriff's sale to enforce a lane.
I think the last time I talked to Karen and Susan both, there was four outstanding liens against that property.
Well, it would be whatever the total amount is owed on their
And he
account.
already paid one of them, so there's probably just 3 on there now.
The total of his liens with Sam would be the amount that's on the delinquent account.
No, because that doesn't, that just shows delinquent rentals, correct? That does not show services that he didn't pay for, like the
Right,
pumping.
but-
Am I correct?
But he has paid all of those except for the last time you told him he had to get the wet well cleaned out, and if he didn't, you're gonna do it for him.
Okay,
That's the only thing that needs to
Alright.
be taken care of.
all right. I withdraw my concerns there because it's been addressed. Okay.
Okay. 1134 State Road.
That is Donady and
What is it?
the Bill Donady's property. It's the rental unit. It's just
Tom Arnold's
two
bookstore.
properties down from the firehouse. It's a yellow and green building. It used to be the store.
I'll have to start bringing minutes.
I think we sent him a letter regarding the correcting the I&I that's going into that grinder pump, and there hasn't been any
Cleaned. Okay.
any response back from him.
So he has 30 days to respond.
All right.
Did you see Karen's letter in there, in the outgoing correspondence? Did you see one that she sent to Mr. Burgess telling him about getting the wet well cleaned, and he has 30 days? Because that's what we said last month, that if it's not done in 30 days, we're going to clean it and forward him the bill.
I don't remember seeing it, but I'll take another look.
Okay. I'm almost positive she sent it. I'm hoping it's in there, but if not, I'll get, like,
Okay, what,
It's on a D.
well, I was thinking, right now I'm
It is.
thinking of Brosius.
Yeah, you're looking
'Cause-
for a brochures on that one.
Brosius is the one that we told him that he had 30 days to get the debris out of the wet well, or else we're going to go in and clean it and send him a bill.
Oh,
Okay.
nothing to brochures, just on a D.
Okay, I'll have to find out where that is.
Bulk water rate.
all right,
You want to table it?
I would prefer we table the bulk water rate issue because I personally am not ready to vote on it. I've been looking online at water rates, which is an interesting thing if you want to do it.
Mhm.
I see where Lancaster has, they charge $15 for the first 5,000 gallons. Pennsylvania American, they charge $55 for the first 5,000 gallons. United charges $38 for the first 5,000. It's all over the freaking. Duncan charges $30. Duncan is pretty cheap. I wonder what our rates are compared to Duncan. That's an interesting thing I'd like to know too. Anyway, I'm not ready to vote on it. I don't know unless somebody's got a burning desire that they want to raise rates. You can go ahead and make your motion.
I thought that the bulk water rate was to address that new meter you put in for the trailer park.
Yeah, there's two issues here. There is the bulk water rate and there's the water rate
Rate,
increase.
okay, let's skip the water and let's just talk about the bulk water rate right now. You've spent big money to put in a master meter for the trailer park because their individual meters are in such crappy shape that we have no idea how much to really bill them for. And the idea there was we were going to dispense with reading the 20 meters,
Yes,
the 23, and you were going to just bill them.
yes.
Okay.
I know that, and I know Sam and Ed and I talked about that rate, but I don't think we talked about it sufficiently with this group here
Well,
to
that's what
go
I'm-
further with that issue. That's all.
But-
I think we need to do some evaluation of, who's charging, what different water companies are charging. And you can, I started looking online, there's
Our
something.
first 5,000 gallon rate, what was it previously?
55. It's always been
It's
55.
55.
And that's what it's gonna be, right?
Now that's for
No,
the
no,
second
that's-
part here.
That's the second part.
That's for the water rate increase, that's just upgrading the tier, and that's what I had sent you all of that stuff for.
Okay.
That's just upgrading
That's
the
the
more
way I
than
interpret it.
5,000,
Correct.
right. I'm more concerned about the trailer court, just,
Well, we need to come up with a bulk rate, but I said I'm not ready to do that right now.
okay, that's fine.
Right now, if you look at our the base rate of $55 for 5,000 gallons, that comes out to .011 cents per gallon. That's, oh, that's pretty good. That's a
Pretty good price.
Well, at bulk rates, generally, the higher they go, a lot of these water supplies,
You
they go
can't
down.
compare somebody else's system to ours. They have different overheads and operating costs.
Well,
and-
that's true too, but.
And we gotta look at, we got a system that's basically gonna fall apart here. Can't be giving water away.
No, no, I didn't say we should give water away, but we ought to have a good idea of what surrounding people are paying, and we're not gonna ask, are you going to, whose water
I have a
supply are you
well.
going? You have a well.
But I used to have
You don't
city
care.
water, I used to be United Water.
See, I was suggesting that since you had the 25 lots up there, you just take your present rate structure and multiply everything by 25.
That's what
That
we
was the
did,
thing that I-
and that's,
Okay,
you know, and that was the initial look at it. And
okay.
Well,
that was
That's the way I see
that
it.
was
So if somebody wants to
unsatisfactory.
make feel free to make a motion if you want to, but I'd prefer to table till we do some more investigation.
Okay.
Please. Anybody want to make a motion?
Table till next month?
All right.
I sent, number 8 there, I sent out via email a long-range project worksheet. That's something that we put together 2 years ago. If anybody has had a chance to look it over, do any updates on it, get back with me and I'll update the sheet and we'll go from there.
What's that now?
Number 8, long-range project worksheet.
The only thing I can say about
It's
doing,
not there. I
adding
sent
more,
it to you electronically. Pardon me?
Oh, very good.
I could more,
This, Elmer, looks like this.
it's a while
When did you
back.
send it?
Doesn't
Oh, they
sound-
just talked, you just talked about it again a week or a couple
Just
months
last
ago,
month.
where you said about
Last
making.
month,
I'll have to look and see.
But the only thing I'd be interested in doing is starting, now that we know where we're going to get our phases up at the water line, I'd like to start getting our schedules on a yearly basis and get them carved in stone so we know when we complete that work up on the hill. I mean, if we keep going the rate we're going, 10 years from now, we still won't be done. You know, if we keep doing a scope of it, say we budget so much money next year, so much money next year, so much money next year, before we get into spending, let's concentrate this water system up here.
Well, we ought to have a better idea once Ben gets done with the study, or Hill gets done with the study, of where we're going, what we're gonna do, or what we should do.
I mean, I was gonna talk a little more about that later on here. I mean, we're up to what, 150,000 gallon on the tank? Ain't that where we're at, Sam?
We don't know, that's why it's part of the
That's
study.
where we were,
I
that's
wanted
where
to
we
just-
were,
where we
our
were.
last discussions, that is what the.
Hear me out.
number that we had.
Okay, we'll discuss this later on underneath new business, or at the end of this old business here. I didn't wanna interrupt you.
Okay, so you want comments on your worksheet?
Well, I'll send it back out and then everybody look and review it
I
and
might have
give them back to me or whatever, and then I'll update them. And what we'll do is, once I get all the comments back in, I update it, then I'll bring it here and make a presentation to the municipal authority,
Right.
if that's what we wanna continue to do, how we wanna do it, or if we wanna, however we want them assigned.
I think if you took a look at our long-range plan so far, our numbers have been pretty dang good of where we were headed. We might want a little bit of run 4-log, but it kind of balanced itself out because 4-log and the benefits that we did from that upgrade are kind of intertwined. So we did two things for the price of one structure there. So
Yeah, well, one thing on the 4-log that we added into the 4-log was a fire hydrant.
right.
That was not part of the 4-log.
Plus the 8-inch line that
And
can be
plus
hooked
an
into
8-inch line
later
that we
on.
can do, yes.
So instead of just putting in an odd line and just discontinuing it later on, we actually got almost 100 feet of usable line that's already installed.
Which is good. All right, what's the 5 Woodland empty water shuttle?
We had Karen had a request from the property owner at 5 Woodland to have abatement of the sewer rentals for that property. They said their water is shut off and there's nothing going on in there. However, since then, I went down there to replace a grinder pump that failed. And if the water shut off in the house, there was water coming out the top of the grinder pump. I have no idea how it's going to get so. And that brings me to another point here. We can talk about it under new business too, and that's abatement rentals.
That one was just sold this past week. That was Schweitzer.
Yeah.
So you're gonna handle this down here?
Where what?
This here?
That one was
It's
just,
public water, how do you
You're
shut off
just
the
telling
water
us
that's
about
not
this
public?
Woodlands here, you don't wanna,
That's what it's on there for, and I told you, that she had a request now.
But
we
I think
can-
since then, I think this was on from last month.
We can either grant the exemption for the sewer, of the sewer abatement, or not. But I just told you, as a field representative, if the water was turned off in that building, the grinder pump failed and it overflowed with water.
It wasn't turned off, was it?
I do not think so.
Is
How
there
do you turn
electric
off
in it?
how do you turn off a well? There's no public water down there,
Nope,
so
there's
how would
not.
you turn off the water?
The only way I know to turn it off is to shut off your electric pump. And that might be, well, I don't know, is that on that clandestine system?
Most of those are on the upper side of the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Okay.
that
I
went
don't know.
across the road.
I don't know.
Oh, so you were there because the grinder pump failed?
Yes,
And
Okay,
the alarm
for-
was going off,
yes,
so it means there's electric in the system.
that's correct.
So there's no way to guarantee the water's gonna be
That's
off.
correct.
Nope.
So
And
I
the grinder pump works now.
So I recommend that we don't,
There's no letter. We never received anything official. That's why I'm saying, see, I didn't look at this ahead of time, or I'd have probably had this
I think it's
pulled off of there.
non-negotiable.
This was on last month and she
The
never,
only way we can terminate a sewer system on a private property like that with private water system is to make sure the electric system's terminated.
Well, not according to what Sam told me, and I didn't know this, but there's places down there where they get water off the mountain gravity flow.
On the upper side.
Yeah, on the
I
upper
know
side of the
about that.
highway.
There's a clandestine water system down there.
So you ain't gonna shut the water off? Something
Only
like that?
handful
Not
of
down
them.
there.
No, but I mean, you,
No.
oh, okay, all right.
According
That's
to
what
my
I'm saying,
notes,
you know,
sorry. According to my notes from last month, that was the last item under new business, and the comment on that was letter being sent for more information.
yeah.
Was there a letter sent to them?
No, the property got sold now, so it's, okay.
Yeah.
That's why it got dropped and it should have been crossed off.
okay.
I have no idea what that is. Marcy planning module.
I don't either.
Probably just something to keep, it ain't came back yet, so nobody knows nothing.
Yes, it certainly did.
Oh, it did? Okay. What's our status then?
That came back, that was date stamped February 19th.
Okay, so he's got 180 days.
From then, which takes it to August the 14th,
Okay,
for him to have
so-
his system
So
done.
I have a feeling,
August
we're
the
gonna-
10th. August
August the 14th.
14.
I have a feeling we're gonna be getting some visits.
I would like to make sure that that was forwarded to him. I had checked on that, and I was told
Okay, let's
that
start over.
Morrison was notified.
Who is it addressed to?
It came into the township office
Okay.
on February the 19th.
So,
I inquired if that was sent up the hall same day, and I was told it was.
okay, so we got one, all right. I'm not gonna argue
And
with
that
you.
he was notified same day.
Well, the notification should have come from Helen to him, correct? And not
I would
Karen?
assume.
Okay, good, all right.
If not, we need to make sure, and if not, we gotta,
No, but that's not our job.
our rules and regs say 180 days.
Well, I
That's
understand that.
underneath our
Yeah, but we
responsibility,
should make sure.
Okay, I understand.
okay?
All right, what was the date
We need to make
stamp?
sure that he understands that the rules and regs are
February 19
specific to that 180
was
day
received
timeframe.
back from DEP.
Reminder note.
So we need to send him a letter. You want the authority to send him a letter telling him that he has a,
We have received notification that you have got your planning module. And according to our rules and regulations, it's 180 days, right, Sam? I'm pretty sure that's what's on that. And with that 180 days,
That's the 180 days the township also gave.
that's in the minutes. I mean, that's already as such. So we're just gonna reiterate something that
Wait a
covers
minute,
us.
wait a minute, question. That's 180 days that the township gave him. Explain that. What do you mean?
They were looking for a time frame from us, and we showed them we had it in our rules and regs, that they
So
needed
they're using our
180
rules and
days
regs
to connect.
for,
Okay, so
Okay.
the township did not give them 180 days. Municipal authority under their rules and regs gave him 180 days.
that is
And-
correct.
Yes, but,
Let's make that clear.
okay, you're right. The Kentucky Board of Supervisors also used that 180 days.
that's not anywhere in my minutes, that we gave him 180 days.
But it's in the rules and regs, isn't it, Sam?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I understand it's part of the rules and regs.
It just says that after 180 days, they start paying ready to serve charge. When Sam asked me about the connection permit and how long you get, The connection permit, the only thing I could ever find was that within 180 days, then you start paying, whether you're connected or not.
Well, if I understood this correctly, I believe he agreed. Didn't he agree?
He agreed.
that He would complete it within 180 days.
He agreed.
Who do you
So
agree
I-
it with, the township or the authority?
Us, he was in here and he agreed with us.
Oh, okay, he agreed with us.
So maybe just a letter indicating that, we understand the module was approved.
And you agreed to do it within
You
180
agreed to
days. Yeah,
complete your,
okay. Yeah, let's do it that way.
your project within 180 days, so just, a friendly reminder that
Right.
Okay.
the clock is ticking.
Okay.
Section 2.50, if a property has not been connected to a sanitary sewer within 180 days of obtaining the connection permit, the authority may assess ready-to-serve charges as provided for in section 620.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, it just means that, we
It
just
does.
start charging them.
Connection permit.
Which this is the approval for the connection permit.
Well,
It is. That is the connection permit. That is the connection permit.
He never
Come on.
got a I was gonna say, he came in and bought the tapping fee, but he never got a connection permit.
He cannot connect onto us till the DEP module was approved. Now he's got a tapping permit. Now he's got a connection permit and he must connect.
So he doesn't actually need our connection permit, but he needs that little cardboard thing to go in the window.
We could not issue a connection permit without that.
Until this
Without the
came
module.
back, that's been the whole sticking
The
point.
module was the holding up point. Now he can do, and he cannot drag his feet anymore. He
Right.
has everything he has to make this thing come together.
all right, let me ask a question. What if he goes past 180 days? What's the penalty provisions and who has them?
We hook it up and charge him for it.
That's the penalty provisions?
That's the option we got. We already discussed this. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And he gets back charged.
Whatever, all right. We ready to go to dedicated trenching?
Dedicated.
No, what's he do about the card? Somewhere along the line, he's gotta get he's gotta have that. We require that card in everybody's window.
Well, he's gonna have to come in and get that too, but he
So
could
do you
not
want-
get that till he had
Right.
that module.
So in the letter, I should remind him to come in and get his connection permit,
That's correct.
because he doesn't have a connection
Well,
permit
he
from
don't
us.
even have an approved process yet. Am I correct? He don't have approved drawings that we accepted yet.
I'm just gonna tell him to come in and get his connection permit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we approved, I mean, I would not give him that connection permit until we know he has an approval. I would honestly say that.
We approved it.
Did we approve his plans?
Yes, we approved the,
You approved his plans
Sure we
conditioned
did.
on the engineer's approval,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And
Yes.
the engineer
Yeah.
gave
Yeah,
the
because
plan.
Mellon was here, yeah.
He couldn't
Sure
get
we
his
did.
module approved if he didn't have
that's
an
right,
approved plan, right?
that's right.
Okay.
Is it,
He approved
That's a
the
question.
wet
He's
wells
gotta have
already
his plans
approved.
approved.
He's going with quadplex.
Yes, I
Okay.
remember that because John Mellon talked with the engineer here and they got that settled.
Yeah.
Well, you should, that's
That's what it
quadplex is what we were talking about, okay?
But he still has to have that piece of paper
Yep.
from
All
us.
right.
You're gonna do the letter too.
I'm gonna have Karen type it up.
But I mean, one thing that'll be in there for sure will be that the planning module, he received the
We have received notification that you have received your planning,
Approval of the planning,
DEP,
right.
you have received your DEP planning module.
and accordingly,
And
based upon
you have
your
agreed to complete-
agreement, you need to complete your system.
Within 180 days, please come to the office and pick up the
All right.
connection permit.
Yes. All right.
I think 11 and 12 should have been under new business.
Should we put in the letter that if it goes past 180 days, we can go in and,
I wouldn't say anything.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
just,
I think he's already
I
has that
think he
idea.
knows, he knows what,
No, yeah, I mean, we put it in, we bill him, we put the mechanics lien and all the liens on his property, and that screws up his,
yeah.
that screws up his works.
We already discussed that, that's all.
All right. Dedicated trenching.
I
Oh,
think that, I think,
is that the
I
one-
think 11 and 12 should be down under new business.
Well, that's all right. Okay. We'll just-
Dedicated trenching, what I'm saying is there's nowhere in our rules and regs that I could see that says, Penn Township Municipal Authority does not share trenching with other utilities, be it sewer or water. We don't show that, and I'd like to have that put in our rules and regs.
I think we need to change that. In other words, you can't put electric lines and water lines in the same trench.
I'm tired of fixing them with electric lines wrapped around water lines.
All right. Let's put that in our
Well, it should
rules and
also,
regs. Do we need a
should
motion?
well, wait a minute. Should
All
there
right.
also be added that if the trenches cross perpendicular, they need to be a foot apart? Utilities must be a foot above or below the water and sewer. There should be a foot variance in there.
Is there some code that
Usually is.
Is there? All right, sounds good to me too.
Well, what-
All right.
At this point, are you looking at somebody to draft the
I got it here.
provisions?
I
Oh,
have it
okay.
here. I have it here. What I said was, unless otherwise approved by Penn Township Municipal Authority. Once again, I screwed that one up too. Shall not approve, shall not be approved the installation of sanitary sewer / water laterals of mains in any trenches that are intended to carry other utilities. We're gonna have to massage that somewhere.
Yeah, because that makes it sound like we can't
Yeah.
put it in other people's utilities.
Well, that's true. We can't put it in
In
other
other
people's
people's, and
utilities,
they
they
can't-
can't put them in
In
ours.
ours, yep.
But
So
then,
you wanna massage this for the next meeting then?
well, yeah, and,
Or
and,
send it out?
I'm gonna let the secretary do it because he had a good
He
idea.
does, let him do it.
very
Tell him
simple.
He's got it
Penn
covered.
Township Municipal Authority only authorized designated trenches for their services. Solves the problem.
Stan,
It's a
okay.
designated trench.
Stan's gonna do it
And
for
then,
us,
and then
right?
he needs to put that section in there about the,
Foot
the
apart,
cross
whatever.
Yep.
All right, good.
Bob wants to talk about.
But you
Bob
make it a
wants-
designated trench
Yes,
and
sir.
then that eliminates it.
What are you doing on the municipal right of way?
What are we doing on the municipal right of ways?
I don't understand what you're asking.
On a highway right of way? You have control over where your trench goes?
Do I have control over where our trench
Yeah,
goes?
or no, I can understand.
I mean, we
where you're
can't put it
going
up
back
the,
on
we
the-
can't put it up the center of 11 and 15, we
No,
put it in
but,
the,
But for the area that
I
is
understand what he's-
dedicated for the utilities, are you gonna be able to control where
Above a foot and below a foot and everything else.
that
I see where
probably
he's
be
going with
controllable, but as far as which trench your utility goes in along the highway right away,
Which is,
you know.
sign these? I sign these?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not following.
yeah, well, I think I did. I don't think that's not been addressed. The state's gonna tell you where you gotta put your
That's
stuff
what I'm
anyway.
getting at.
They're gonna tell, they're gonna tell you where you're gonna put it.
That's what I'm wondering how, you know,
Yeah.
if you're being overridden there.
No,
And
yeah, well, it
anything-
could very well be.
And we
You
have
know?
control of anything we put in our right of way.
I'm just, for the most part, what I'm looking at here is something that comes off of our main and goes through your yard.
Right.
All right.
I understand that.
That's,
yeah.
that's what I'm looking at here. Now, if we're out along, State Route 11 and 15, the state's gonna come in and tell us where we have to put our trench and what we gotta do. And there's nothing we can do about it.
I've had to do some crazy detailing.
Yeah. There's nothing we can do about that.
No.
Number 2 is federal guidelines concerning permissible lead amounts. That came from a bill that I got from LB Water. The bottom of it says effective January 1st, 1914, which is, 2014. 2014, which is next year. A new federal law comes into effect making it illegal to install into any potable water system a brass product containing more than 0.25% lead. All right. Now, do we want to be proactive and add this to our rules and regs? It says it shall be, pretty much what I just read, it shall be illegal to install into any potable water system a brass product containing more than 0.2% lead, as per federal government guidelines. And that'll go into proposed addition or amendment to Water R&R section 11.11.
Might as well, yeah. It's
Okay.
already a federal law, doesn't it?
Are you gonna turn around and ask for certified material sheets for every piece of material you order?
I don't know, the Fed's gonna ask for it.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Lead-based solder. They banded it, it phased its way out, you probably can't find, you go out and try to buy 50/50 solder to go solder something right now, it's not to be found. In due time, it will be phased out, and that, I think you understand, you will not, if you implement this, you will not be able to go to the hardware store if you need a brass fitting and install it, because you can't prove that it's got 0.25% lead in it.
LB
Okay.
Water says that they're not gonna be selling anything. that
I
doesn't
realize
comply
LB
with
Water
this.
is, but that's no other way. They're gonna have to prove to me that it's got that by giving me a piece of material cert.
Well, we aren't gonna know. How are we gonna know?
Okay, so then we're breaking the law. We're breaking our own ordinance. I gotta deal with certified material on a daily basis.
I know, but
I
how,
understand.
out here, how are we gonna know?
Okay, let's make it easy.
Well, maybe-
Let's make it easier. I'll just withdraw that request. I didn't realize that it was gonna ruffle so many feathers, so we'll just withdraw that.
It can't be enforced.
Well,
If
what
you-
I would suggest you may consider is why don't we try to get these federal guidelines so we can see what
We
they
could-
say, because all you have is
We
really.
could reference them in our.
Well, you just have Walters telling you, though, I
LB
mean,
Water.
if you actually see these guidelines, then I think we'd have better guidance on what, if
You can-
anything, you need to do.
You can
or
add
should
it
do.
into rules and
We could reference
regulations.
them in our regs.
Reference
Why
them.
not?
But to enforce it is gonna be
Well,
hard to do it.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
I mean, 3 years from now, you're not gonna be able to buy a brass fitting, it's not gonna be that. It's gonna be through the system, it's gonna phase out and it's gonna
Because
become
the
a,
manufacturers aren't gonna be making
yeah,
it.
they're gonna be redundant, it's gonna go out the window, it's just, through due time, it's gonna disappear.
That's
It has
right.
to. It's gonna be a mandate for the manufacturers to
Massage
make
that,
it go.
make that up, put that in
It's
my-
gonna be the stuff that,
Present it next week.
the old plumbing supply shop that's got stuff for the last 20 years that's never gonna get rid of it, you know what I'm saying?
Why don't we just reference these in our regs then?
Well, I agree with him, get the Fed regs, see what they actually are, put them in there and,
Reference them.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anybody disagree with that?
Do you think
Let me just reference the,
do you think Walter, is it Walter?
LB Water.
Do you think he could get you the federal guidelines? Or if he couldn't, I'll bet Ben would help.
You can probably get it off the internet.
You might be able to.
I mean, I read it somewhere else already too about it. It's,
why reinvent them?
I mean, I could probably find them, but I think somebody like Ben would be able to get
Yeah.
them quickly. He's
I
probably-
know them all.
Talk to
You'll
them.
split them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it is. And this would be added to this.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if you really want to get technical about it, we don't have anything in here that says you ain't supposed to use lead-based solder in our rules and regulations either. So, brass fitting's the same thing as a lead solder, you know? It goes out the window after time.
Well, if they ban all lead, I think Harrisburg City wouldn't have any water system to begin with.
Well, I ain't arguing that one, but
I've pulled so many of those 2-foot lead, soft lead connectors out.
yeah, but they're okay. It's the new stuff that gets you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna reference the federal regs, okay? All right, tubbies. What are we gonna do with tubbies? Shall we
Well, the problem
wait and
is,
see what,
if you're not forcing other restaurants to do it, it's pretty tough to force him to do it.
yeah.
And he
Well-
already has something in place, and I agree, if you're watching it, and it's not getting jammed up and clogged up, as long as he's not gonna put a full-service kitchen down there and have waitresses and waiters and all that.
Are we gonna, you're gonna be checking the unit every once in a while anyway, right?
My grease trap inspections twice a year.
Well, okay. If we find out that he's got a problem, then I think we
And he's gotta put
make
one
him
in.
put it in. Otherwise, wait and see. That's my opinion. Anybody have a different opinion, they can make a motion and whatever.
I have a feeling it's gonna be similar to what the last one was. The intentions are good. The amount of food that goes through that is gonna be a minimum. It's just minimal. I mean, yeah, they may hit a peak on a Friday or Saturday night, but the rest of the time it's, it's not one of them you're not going in there to sit down and eat food. You're in there to sit there and belly up.
And eat fries.
Yeah, and eat fries. Yeah.
Of course, they're
So in
not
other
cooked
words-
in grease.
So we tell him if you find a problem, he's gonna have to put the thing in. All right, Sam?
Suits me. I'm easy to get along with. I don't sit here and fight.
All right, proposed amendments to, and additions to the,
Now, is Karen gonna send him that letter
what?
regarding the Tubbies? It says it's okay, we're gonna let him go the way it is, and we're gonna continue to monitor it. Karen's sending that letter, correct?
I don't know. I guess.
I have it down on her to-do list.
Okay.
All right.
We already did too.
Already did two. Disposal of records.
Yes, that's for me. We do that every year. By law, we are required, if we want to throw away something, to have it duly recorded. So I am asking that we dispose the things that are listed at the bottom. Treasurer's reports, bank statements. We only have to keep bank statements and your electric bills and all of that for 7 years, so I would like to get rid of
I'll move that we adopt resolution 2013-01.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
You gotta sign one. I got two other things here under new business.
You want this?
Yeah.
I do too then.
Yep, I have 2 things under old business.
Yeah, old business too.
Let me just assign this one.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
That'll work. I'll get that taken care of. File away.
Okay, who's, ladies first.
Thank you. What's the status on the odor control building? Summer's coming.
Oh, I don't know, what is it?
That's what we were gonna ask Ed.
It's all insulated and it's just ready for the connections to be made.
Are the lines pulled?
No.
Okay, or is the pit taken care of? I thought he took the valves out, took the lines out. and
From
got-
my understanding that he did, I didn't look in the pit.
I
Mr.
understand he
Chisholm
was-
was,
I understand
Mr.
he-
Chisholm and Jeff were involved in
Okay.
that, I don't know.
I understand the pit's prepared and ready to be
Right.
hooked up. I think it's just a matter of running the lines. Am I
Mhm,
correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think the tubing has already been purchased to do that.
Okay, so
Just a
so
matter-
I did know the tubing
Just a
was an
matter-
outstanding
it's
thing.
It's just a matter of finding the time to get down there to do it.
Okay, so we,
So you got the materials, it's just a matter of putting it together.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that what's right?
Correct, that's correct.
because that's gonna become an issue here pretty shortly.
The other question, I'm not sure the address would be around 1323 State Road. Was going to be put up for sale in the spring. There was a for sale sign up very briefly, is down, and there's been some major renovations going on there. What's the status on that property? Because we did abate those sewer charges.
Who is that?
That was Mary's
Mary Arnold.
little cottage.
We did that for 3 months. That was a three,
Not that long ago.
that was 3 months, yes, and that goes up through March. That was.
Unless
I think it goes
they
through the
cut
end of March.
lock off the box, and I can double check that. That grinder pump has been shut off electrically.
Because there's definitely electric in the house.
Yes.
I understand that they're probably doing some things in there with the intentions of putting it up for auction. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, because there was a sign up in the yard, like I say, very briefly, and then it was taken down, and it surprised me the sign was up already because they had said spring. And then when it came down, I thought, well, gosh, they must have sold it already.
I understand it's gonna be auctioned. That's what I'm hearing. So they're probably getting there, cleaning out.
Because I know they replaced the bathtub and the fixtures in there, because I saw that already out.
Okay, so I'm gonna say they're doing some tweaking and adjustment before they bring it up for auction, because I imagine it probably wasn't gonna be sold very easy.
the way it was either, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah, it's
So,
been there for years.
because she's not moving back in it, from what I understand.
No, she's out somewhere, I don't know.
She's Susquehanna.
Susquehanna. I understand she's not very good, so.
I believe the owner has been in, her son was in contact with Karen about this.
Okay.
So let me do some checking on that, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay, somebody else?
Okay, I'll get back on that water tank a little bit. If we got 150,000 with what Sam or Ed was talking about there with another 23 on there, unless, I mean, we're probably looking at 175,000 gallon tank, 180,000 gallon tank just off the top of my head.
Henry, that's what the engineering thing
I
is
know.
supposed to determine.
I know, but
You
I'm
don't have
just,
to determine that. Don't waste
Listen.
your mind tonight,
listen,
you know?
we turned around and put it to 150 and it wasn't even supposed to be that. So we got a little extra on it.
It don't matter. We're gonna have an engineer take a look
Okay.
at it. And you're not an engineer. We're gonna have some engineering people look at it and see what we need. Don't get excited. Don't get your blood pressure up about it.
Piss
There's
all our
plenty of
money away with engineers,
Plenty of
too.
time to look at it, and if you wanna bitch at the engineers, we'll let you bitch however you wanna bitch. I don't care.
You have anything else?
Anybody else? Got
Yes,
anything?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
In the rate schedule, do we need to identify the cost of simplex pumps and duplex pumps, and also the core unit price for the grinder pumps? That's not on our rate schedule.
I think it's a good idea to include them, unless somebody sees it differently. We have to remember to adjust them, I guess,
Right.
if they change, but I certainly see no harm in having them in there. I think it's better policy to have that stuff documented. You can show somebody, here's the number, and here's where it comes from, and here's when, how it was approved.
All right, I'll get those information.
No, we can- and you can-
If the authority so chooses, I'll get the information, give it to Karen, and she can update the rate schedule.
Yeah, and then you probably should approve the revised, updated rate schedule. As soon as you get it.
Is it all right for the authority if I do that?
I think it avoids possible arguments later to have that stuff documented.
And I'm the one with it on my computer. So
Okay.
I have a question since he brought up the rate schedule. For the water rate schedule, it says, under capacity, 390, remember we did the study and you divide your tapping fee into different parts? So capacity part's 390 and the distribution part is 140, but the capacity part also says $390 per EDU. Then it says $390 per connection where developer installs water line. And I didn't understand why that was put in. This could have been in for years, for all I know. That particular set per connection where developer installs water line. Does that just mean it's still $390 no matter who puts it in?
It sounds like it, but that's in the rate schedule?
Yes.
I wonder if we could find the study, there was an expert, right?
Right, but that
Dr.
was a little
somebody
bit,
did that
yeah, but
study. It might be a good idea to pull that and just make sure that we track the language correctly in there.
okay. All right, I'll go
'Cause
back
it sounds
to.
like it's the same either way, and that
Yeah.
may be.
And, all right, then the other one is there's a number of charges here, like the meter charge, it says 135. I don't know what the cost of a new meter is, and since we're updating the other, Sam's asking to put those in, we might as well find out what the cost of a water meter is and put that in because we charge them for water meters.
You know what maybe is a good idea? When you do your other reorganizing things every year, it may be a good idea to include an update of the rate schedule so that we don't lose track of these things.
That's a good idea.
Somebody should look at that annually. Some of these things are gonna change and we're gonna miss them, and then it's gonna be confusion.
And then I wondered if anybody knew what the administrative charge of $100 is under the water rate schedule. And does that need to be there? That's why whenever I sent that out to you guys, why I had that highlighted in gray, because I didn't understand those parts.
Charge on
wondering.
water.
I didn't know what an administrative charge was and when we would use it. Okay.
I don't remember.
We do have the part in here about the $25 for insufficient checks and the developers.
Is that sufficient?
25? Yeah.
Okay.
We do, that happens so rarely. We have one going on right now that the lady has contested with us, that the bank said we were wrong. And they never sent us the check saying there wasn't any money, but she came in and got the check. You know, the bank sent us the check, so I made her a copy of it where it said she closed it. So she went back to the bank and has not come back to see us yet. But they charged us $10. So now she's going to have to pay that to us because we had to pay the bank $10.
Okay, anybody else?
One more thing. All right, rental abatements for sewer. From the beginning, when we said this in here, there would be no abatements for any reason. Later, we decided to abate rentals in the event of a homeowner's death and no one residing in the address. There's no problem for that. All right, now, it seems that we grant abatements if the owner disconnects from the sewer, or disconnects the water or electricity from the supplying the grinder pump. I think we need to go look at our rules and regs, and our rules and regs state if you disconnect, it's going to cost you $100 to disconnect. All right. Then, if you want to reconnect, we need to put something in there. We usually charge another connection fee.
Yes.
Now, if you want to reconnect, it's going to cost you another $100. If you know, in that scenario. Now, I don't propose that we go back and do that to the people who have death in the families. I say let that set. That's something that's there, and I think that's a good thing on our way. But I think the total abatement, the granting of abatements just at a whim, I think it's going to come back and bite us in the butt.
We're gonna miss them when they come back on.
If you heard me say many times, I'm not a fan of abatements.
So
I just don't think you can run a system when you have all that stuff going on, that somebody goes away for 6 months and they disconnect this or that. It's just an administrative nightmare. It's just not worth. And one way to discourage it is to make those charges. Then it's not worth it for somebody to come in and get an abatement if they've got to pay $500 to whatever.
Most of them are a time-framed guideline. Am I correct? If not all of them? Or do you got an example?
The only thing that we have a timeline on is for the death in the family, and that's a year.
Yeah.
That's a year.
And we set that.
And we did the one for Mary Island.
For 3 months.
3 months.
And the other two are from the borough because the borough shut the water off.
Yes, that's right, I remember that.
The borough shut the water off. So now, that's those two.
The problem is your costs just don't change, significantly when somebody's not using the system for 6 months or a year. And it just, well, you know my position, I don't believe in them. Period. I don't believe in any of it. I understand the one you did for the odd situation with the death. That's.
And I don't have a problem with that one. And it's the only thing that I'm looking at now is to say, okay, if you want to disconnect, if you want to go on vacation, your house sits empty for 6 months, you want to disconnect, it's going to cost you $100. When you come back, it's going to cost you $100.
But you got to check it, right?
And we need to check it. And here's a little caveat in here. If you come back and just set the system up and don't you call me, you get billed for everything that you were away.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Well, I want to bring up something because we've talked here about shutting off water for people who don't pay their sewer bills. Now, when the borough does that, and we said we weren't going to do it for the people in Lower Duncannon because we would have to, or no, wherever we could shut it off, because we would still have to pay the utility, another utility, the money that was their due.
Yeah, I think that's.
Sam Ox doesn't pay his bill in Lower Duncannon, so we asked the borough to shut off the water, but we still have to pay their water. So now the borough has shut off their water. What do we do? Do we ask them to pay us the $60?
Send them a bill for $60.
Well, there's a practical problem here too, because I defy anybody to go up in Sunshine Hills and shut somebody's water off. I really do. You never find your damn shut off valve.
I beg to differ.
Well, you're right. How many are you gonna, how many were you finding?
I can shut the majority of them off.
You can't shut mine off.
You shut the majority of them off.
Cause you ain't gonna find it, cause I can't find it.
Dig it up and smash it.
Yeah. Now that I said that, I'll place a motion on the table that for any subsequent abatement requests, with the exception of death in the family, to stop the sewer rental would be a $100 charge, and to resume that would be another $100 charge. And once again, and the caveat in there is if you come back and come on the system and do not notify us that you're on the system, you would be billed for everything in between, from the time that we agreed to do the abatement to the time that we noticed that you're back on the system.
So people like Murray Island would have to pay the 3 months that she was off?
Not now.
No, but she would.
She would have had to.
Yes.
No.
She would have either had to pay.
She would pay $100 and $100.
Yeah, 100. She either had to
Well,
pay.
she could have already paying for 3 months.
Right.
To be done with
She
it.
would have either had to pay $180, an $180 rental fee, or $200 to us to disconnect and reconnect.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's the idea behind it.
And all it would have consisted of is you down there locking out the
And that's
pump.
and
which
that's
is-
all. And that's
I
all.
understand.
That's all that it consists of. It's designed to deter the disconnection, reconnect.
And when the borough shuts somebody off and we know that they're not
I
using
don't give a
their-
damn about the borough right now.
So you're gonna still build them? When you know that they're not using their commode? Because the water borough's got their water shut off. Okay, never
My
mind.
motion was on the table. I don't have a second, so we can't discuss it as yet.
I have a question, point of clarity on it. You said if they don't notify us that they're back, they'll be billed for everything in between. Is that just the monthly charge, or does that include both bookends of $100 as well? Including the 200, okay, thank you.
Well, do you want to put it in writing and bring it to the meeting Monday?
I can do that.
That way-
You saw how I write them. You sure you want me to do
I
that?
was gonna say, why don't you turn it over to Stan to do?
I agree with what you're trying to do, Sam, in regards
Yeah.
to trying to keep it under control. I mean, it's gonna have to be a long time frame. If somebody wants to terminate it for a year, it's a benefit to go 100, you know what I'm saying? You know, if it's a 6 month, it's, you're, I know where you're at. I understand where you're going with that.
But if we shut it off for a year and you go to Florida for vacation and you come back, after that time and you get on the phone and you don't call us and let us know that you're back and your system's back up and running,
You pay the whole year plus
$200.
Now, should we also say it has to be more than 3 months? If it's going to be less than 3 months, then you're paying your bill.
That's their financial decision. If they can't do the math,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, really, yeah.
If they're gonna spend $1 instead of a quarter, that's their problem, you know? And that's what it amounts to. And that's why he worded it the way he did. That makes sense.
Okay, you're gonna bring something up
That's all I
for us?
got. I can do it.
Okay, all right. Well, it's
And that-
9:30. Times, anybody got anything else?
Make
We got a
motion,
half
we
hour
adjourn.
before we make a motion for the extension.
She made a motion to adjourn. Somebody want to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
The goal is the meeting to be over by 10 o'clock.
Well,
Because Good at 10 meeting. o'clock, we gotta
We
make
made
a
it.
motion Good to meeting. keep them going.
That's right.
Good meeting.